Chaos was already boiling at the mouth of the canyon's secret realm. Yuan Clan's Supreme Elder. The Dark White Tiger Clan's elder roared, pointing straight at Yuan Sun. If you don't give us an explanation, we will repay this blood debt. A Xianmen Grand Elder followed immediately, eyes cold as iron. That's right. Once the Yuan Clan's divine child comes out, you will hand him over. Refuse, and we fight to the death. The True Dragon Clan's Supreme Elder stepped forward, voice like thunder. Your Yuan divine son killed our dragon prince. The moment he leaves the realm, we will settle this. Our clan will not let it end. Behind them, more elders and disciples from imperial clans, dynasties, and holy lands surged, their demands merging into one sentence. Hand over Yuan Zhixian. Yuan Sun stared at the sea of faces. Then he released his aura. Peak Saint pressure crashed outward like a tidal wave. The weaker disciples nearby staggered, some forced to their knees. Hand over my grandson? Yuan Sun's voice was calm, but it carried the weight of execution. You dare say that in front of me? Have you forgotten the Yuan clan's terror across countless eras? He raised his chin slightly. Speak another word, and I'll kill you. A golden-winged rock elder sneered. Arrogant. Don't forget you're not the only saint present. Do you think you can suppress all of us by yourself? Two supreme elders from Tianxian Holy Land and Taiyuan Holy Land shouted together, rage and hatred mixed in their tone. Your Yuan clan may be a forbidden family, but we are not weak either. We have patriarchs behind us. If you don't give us an explanation today, none of you are leaving. Their roots traced back to the divine profound Holy Land. Even after splitting into separate forces, their ties remained close. And they had reason to be furious. Two of their holy sons had been erased by Yuan Zhixian. Then the Tianxing clan's supreme elder stepped out, killing intent flashing in his eyes. Our divine son was a future emperor candidate, unrivaled, yet he died to that Yuan brat. Enough talk. Surround Yuan Sun and kill him. When the Yuan divine son appears, seize him. The moment he finished, whoosh, Yuan Sun vanished. In the next heartbeat, he was already in front of the Tianxing elder, hand locked around the man's throat. The Tianxing elder's eyes widened in shock. Yuan Sun didn't argue. He didn't threaten. He simply flung him away. The body turned into a streak and slammed into a distant mountain range hundreds of kilometers away. The impact was catastrophic. A mountain chain stretching almost 10,000 miles exploded into dust and ash. Everyone froze. To strike openly, in front of every faction, and do it so casually, it was a message louder than any words. Yuan Sun turned back, gaze sweeping across them like a blade. Who else wants me to hand over my grandson? He asked. Killing a few of your divine sons was mercy. If you're still unhappy, come together. A pile of ants. That sentence snapped the crowd's restraint. This is too much. Outrageous. Saints and grand elders from the clans and holy lands that had suffered losses surged forward and attacked Yuan Sun. Yuan Sun laughed, sharp and fearless. Good, 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 he said, voice rising. I haven't moved for tens of thousands of years. Come. Today I'll remind you what fear is. A quasi-emperor sword appeared in his right hand. The instant it was drawn, sword intent pierced the heavens. The air screamed under the pressure. Yuan Sun swung. A single slash, backed by supreme saint power and the edge of quasi-emperor will, swept outward. Boom! The collision shook the canyon entrance. When the shockwave settled, Yuan Sun still stood unmoved. The opposing saints and elders were pushed back miles, feet carving trenches into the earth. Yuan Sun's eyes were full of disdain. You couldn't even endure one strike. Yet you demand my grandson and talk about surrounding me? You're courting death. The true dragon elder roared. You rely on a quasi-emperor weapon. Do you think we don't have any? As if on cue, quasi-emperor weapons appeared one after another. True Dragon Clan. Golden Winged Rock Clan. Xianmen. Dark White Tiger Clan. Heaven-Turning Wild Bull Clan. Tianxian Holy Land. Taiyuan Holy Land. Tianxing Clan, their elder, battered but alive, forced himself back into the fight. 8 quasi-emperor weapons. Their combined pressure flooded the space. Lesser elders instantly shielded their disciples, terrified they'd be crushed into mist just by standing too close. And then, the secret realm rippled. Yuan Zhixian stepped out with his entourage. The moment he appeared, the 8 elders' killing intent spiked. They prepared to strike him down immediately. But someone moved faster. 2 figures flashed in front of Yuan Zhixian like iron walls, Supreme Saint pressure bursting outward as they guarded him and those behind him. Each held a quasi-emperor weapon. One was a supreme elder of the Jade clan. The other was a supreme elder of the June clan. The June elder had already received news about his own divine son and understood the subtle bond forming between June and Yuan. More importantly, June's divine son was still with Yuan Zhixian. So the moment Yuan Zhixian appeared, they teleported to his side. Because everyone here knew the truth. Against Supreme Saints, a divine son could be crushed by pressure alone. The 8 attackers saw it too late. Their best chance to instantly kill Yuan Zhixian was gone. Yuan Sin finally exhaled. Relief flickered across his eyes. He cupped his hands toward the 2 elders. Yuan Sin thanks you both. The Jade clan elder smiled. Why be so polite? We've been friends for ages. The June clan elder returned the gesture. Fellow Taoist, you're too kind. I know the relationship between our divine sons. I won't stand aside. And besides, my divine son is still with yours. Yuan Sun nodded once, then turned back to the battlefield. Then I'll trouble you 2 to watch them. His expression sharpened, savage and fearless. I'll finish these 8. He lifted his quasi-emperor sword, voice booming. What are you staring at? Keep staring and I'll kill you all. Come over here and die. Supreme Saint power surged. 8 sword arcs ripped through the air toward the 8 elders. The 8 raised their quasi-emperor weapons and blocked. Bang, bang, bang. When the dust cleared, they were still standing. Yuan Sin's brows lifted slightly. With quasi-emperor weapons, their strength had multiplied. He pointed his sword toward the sky. His saintly power rose higher and higher, forming a massive golden ring above the battlefield. From that ring, a terrifying divine sword phantom descended, glowing with golden light and carrying a sword intent that split the void as it moved. Yuan Sin's voice rang like judgment. For swords of immortal slaying. Immortal slaying sword. The divine sword shot forward, tearing space apart wherever it passed. The 8 elders' faces changed. They unleashed their strongest arts to meet it head-on. Yuan Sin watched them resist, and spoke one more word, cold and absolute. Execute. The divine sword phantom exploded into countless smaller golden swords, so many they blotted out the sky. Each one carried the weight of Yuan Sin's strongest strike. And there were countless of them. They rained down. The heavenly profound Holy Land's supreme elder screamed first, pierced through again and again until his body collapsed into nothingness. Then Taiyuan's supreme elder followed, riddled with holes and erased from the world. The dark white tiger elder and the heaven-turning bull elder lasted only a little longer before the golden blades tore them apart, true forms revealed in death. The true dragon elder and the heavenly azure elder barely held on through sheer physical toughness, but they were drenched in blood, bodies covered in wounds. The Xianmen elder survived by repeatedly weakening the strikes with profound techniques, avoiding fatal hits, but the injuries piled up, heavy and deep. The golden-winged rock elder fared best, relying on extreme speed to dodge through the storm, suffering only a few cuts. When the sword rain finally faded, the battlefield had already been ripped in half. Dead bodies, broken weapons, blood in the air. The survivors stared at Yuan Sun, fear rising in their chests. Fighting him felt like an adult crushing children. Yuan Sun raised his sword, ready to finish the last 4. Then, a pressure descended from above. Heavier than any supreme saint. The sky itself seemed to sink. A voice in the crowd trembled. A quasi-emperor. Yuan Sun narrowed his eyes. So you've called an elder when you can't win? An old man in a golden dragon robe walked through the air, each step spanning tens of kilometers. In a few breaths, he arrived beside the true dragon clan's supreme elder. The true dragon elder bowed deeply. Greetings, ancestor. The remaining elders also bowed. Greetings, senior. The old man only gave a soft Yet that single sound carried pressure like a mountain, making everyone's breathing turn heavy. He looked at Yuan Sun with faint surprise. Not bad. The Yuan clan produced someone like you. If you step into Quasi-Emperor, your future path will be extraordinary. Yuan Sun's grip tightened. Are you mocking me for not reaching Quasi-Emperor? Or do you think you can look down on everyone just because you have? The golden-robed patriarch chuckled lightly. A sparrow cannot understand a swan's ambition, and a swan cannot understand the rock's wings. You are not Quasi-Emperor. You do not understand the gap. Yuan Sun's blood surged, excitement mixing with anger. Quasi-Emperor? It's not like I haven't fought one before. Don't act like you're untouchable. Even if you are Quasi-Emperor, I can still fight you. The old man smiled. Then I'll show you the difference. His aura erupted. Spiritual power condensed into 9 enormous golden 5-clawed dragons coiling around him. 9 extreme heavenly dragons. Yuan Sun didn't dare underestimate it. His own power surged, golden light bursting from his body. He raised his sword. Instant sword strike. In a flash, Yuan Sun became a streak of golden sword light and appeared before the dragons. One clean, terrifying cut split all 9 at the waist. The dragons shattered into starlight and rushed onward toward the golden-robed patriarch. The old man's eyes flickered with surprise. A dragon-headed staff appeared in his hand, and he slammed it into the oncoming sword light. Light exploded. Both men were forced back dozens of miles. The golden-robed patriarch's expression finally turned serious. He raised his hand again. Ancestral dragon heaven-slaying technique. Dark clouds gathered overhead. Blue lightning cracked between them. The surrounding void fractured under the pressure. From the storm, a gigantic 7-clawed dragon claw descended, pressing down toward Yuan Sun like the hand of a god. Yuan Sun lifted his Quasi-Emperor sword to his chest and poured every strand of spiritual power into it. Sword intent roared, refusing to yield. He looked straight at the old man in the golden dragon robe and shouted, "For swords of immortal slaying, 2 swords combined." Each of the 4 swords of Juxian carried a terrifying, forbidden might. A single sword was enough to shake realms. To use the full set in formation required the foundation of a supreme saint, and the truly deeper combined variations were said to belong only to quasi-emperors. Once unleashed, their power might not be enough to crush a true emperor head-on, but among peers it was close to invincible. In the hands of a monster, it could even cut down foes a realm higher. Yuan Sun's move, 4 swords of Juxian, 2 swords combined, was exactly that kind of taboo art. It fused the Juxian sword and the Luxian sword into one strike. The sword intent alone was sharp enough to make even a quasi-emperor feel threatened. 2 enormous divine blades manifested in the void. One burned with golden radiance, its edge carrying the feeling of absolute annihilation, as if it existed solely to erase life and destiny. The other shone with pure white light. Just looking at it made the soul tremble, like it was aimed directly at one's spirit rather than one's flesh. Then the 2 swords merged. Gold and white intertwined, condensing into a single white divine sword threaded with golden brilliance. The instant it formed, the surrounding space cracked like fragile glass. It shot forward, straight at the descending 7-clawed dragon claw. Bang! Sword and claw collided. At the point of impact, 2 faint semicircular fields appeared, pushing against each other like opposing heavens. Lightning erupted from the collision, and blinding waves of light ripped outward in every direction. Boom! 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 Bolts of lightning crashed down. Radiant shockwaves carved the ground. Some cultivators fled in panic, others raised shields around their disciples, and a few unlucky ones were instantly ground into dust by the overflowing force. Then, crack. Space tore open. A massive black void mouth appeared, swallowing everything it touched. A heartbeat later came an explosion so violent it seemed to punch a hole through the world itself. When the glare finally dimmed, Yuan Sun staggered back, blood pouring from his mouth. He clutched his chest and still laughed, wild and fearless. "So this is a quasi-emperor," he spat, voice hoarse. "Is that all?" The old man in the golden dragon robe wasn't much better. His face was pale, and a thin line of blood traced from the corner of his mouth. But compared to Yuan Sun, his injuries were lighter. He stared at Yuan Sun like he was looking at a lunatic. "Madman," he said coldly. "You burned nearly all your spiritual power to force that exchange. You fight like you don't care whether you live or die." Before the words even settled, 3 more voices cut through the sky. "What a disgrace. A quasi-emperor, yet you can't even crush a supreme saint. You were actually injured by him. Enough. This man is too dangerous. A saint who can resist quasi-emperor pressure. If he lives, he becomes a future calamity. Kill him now." 3 figures stepped out of the void and appeared beside the golden-robed patriarch. The golden-robed man's gaze sharpened. "You're late," he said, then nodded toward Yuan Sun. "But you're here now. This Yuan clan elder is absurdly strong. If I kill him alone, I pay a heavy price. Together, we end him." Yuan Sun's heart sank. He was confident he could barely contend with one quasi-emperor, even if it cost him blood and bone, but 4 at once? That was no longer confidence. That was suicide. Deep down, he cursed. "Ninth ancestor, why haven't you arrived yet?" The 4 quasi-emperors looked down at him, their tone heavy with judgment. "Your Yuan clan has crossed the line. Our divine sons were nurtured with endless treasures and effort, and your divine son killed them as if they were weeds. They only demanded an explanation, yet you struck first and crippled them." One of them raised his hand slowly. "Since that's the case, prepare to perish." Yuan Sun felt cold sweat run down his back. Then, time froze. The wind stopped. Even the air felt locked in place, as if the world itself had been seized by an invisible hand. A spatial rift opened. An old man in white robes, with white hair and beard, stepped out calmly, as if he were strolling through his own garden. "Ninth ancestor." Yuan Zhexian's face tightened with worry, but the moment he saw that figure, his heart finally eased. He called out instinctively, voice full of reverence. The 9th ancestor of the Yuan clan gave Yuan Zhexian a faint smile and a nod. Then he waved his sleeve. In an instant, Yuan clan members, along with the Jade clan elder and the June clan elder, vanished from where they stood and reappeared beside him. Yuan Sun also flashed over, immediately bowing. "Ninth ancestor." The 9th ancestor looked at him, pleased. "Yuan Sun, you did well. This battle should have carved insights into your bones. After you return to seclusion, stepping into Quasi-Emperor will not be far." Yuan Sun's eyes lit up despite his injuries. "Yes, this fight opened my understanding. With seclusion, I should break through." Yuan Zhexian immediately smiled. "Grandfather, then your grandson wishes you success in entering Quasi-Emperor." Yuan Sun laughed loudly, the sound full of pride. But while the Yuan clan rejoiced, the 4 quasi-emperors on the opposite side turned pale. Because the one who arrived was the Yuan clan's 9th ancestor, a name that meant death. Long ago, even a terrifying emperor-level existence, like the Lord of the Netherworld, had been forced to the brink by this man. How could first-stage quasi-emperors like them possibly dare to clash with him? The 9th ancestor's gaze drifted to the 4 quasi-emperors. His voice was calm, almost casual. "I heard you intend to kill my clan's divine son and my clan's supreme elder?" The 4 felt their scalps go numb. The true dragon clan patriarch forced a smile. "Senior, it's a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" The 9th ancestor snorted. His aura pressed down. Peak quasi-emperor pressure descended like heaven collapsing. Pfft. All 4 quasi-emperors trembled as if struck by divine thunder in the chest, and blood burst from their mouths. Just as the 9th ancestor raised his hand again, a voice rang out from above. "Fellow Taoist, hold your hand." The 9th ancestor looked up. 4 figures stood in the sky, each one so perfectly restrained that they seemed merged with heaven and earth, without a single ripple of aura. Yet their presence alone made the world feel heavier. The 9th ancestor's eyes narrowed slightly. "Oh," he said flatly. "Even you old mudfish came, and you dragged 3 old fossils with you. They were not ordinary arrivals. They were the core ancestors of their respective factions, peak quasi-emperors who normally would never show themselves unless their clans faced annihilation. But quasi-emperors were the foundation of a great clan. Losing one was like breaking a spine. The ninth ancestor tilted his head toward the injured four below. You're here, for them? The true dragon ancestor spoke with controlled patience. Yuan Shangyuan, your divine son killed ours. They came demanding an explanation. That is not unreasonable. Now they are injured, while your divine son is unharmed. Why not end this here? He did not want war with the ninth ancestor. The golden age had begun. Every move burned lifespan. Unless forced, no one wanted to fight. The ninth ancestor's smile turned sharp. End it, he repeated. A moment ago, they boasted about killing my divine son and my elder. They called my Yuan clan too far. His gaze turned colder. In this world, treasures go to the capable. If the weak die, they can blame no one. But to bully my Yuan clan and think I'll swallow it? He gave a short laugh. Do you think I'm someone you can bargain with? The golden-winged rock ancestor asked tightly, then what do you want? The ninth ancestor answered without blinking. Simple. Each of the four pays 3 emperor-level medicinal herbs. Then we let it end. The four ancestors sucked in a breath. 3 emperor-level herbs each. 12 in total? That was not compensation. That was robbery. One of the Xianmen ancestors snapped, furious. Yuan Shangyuan, are you playing with us? Emperor-level herbs are not cabbages in a market. The ninth ancestor spat lightly, full of contempt. I can produce them. So what? If you can't even gather a dozen emperor-level herbs, why are you calling yourselves ancestors? Poor and shameless. The Tinsang ancestor roared, unable to hold back. You've gone too far. The true dragon ancestor quickly raised a hand to stop them, forcing himself calm. How about this, he said, biting the words out. The 4 of us will pool resources. We offer 1 emperor-level herb, plus 30 quasi-emperor-level herbs. That is our limit. The ninth ancestor's eyes turned indifferent. He waved a hand like it was settling a trivial debt. Fine. 3 days. Deliver it to the Yuan clan. Then his gaze sharpened like a guillotine blade. Missing even 1 plant, and I'll kill you all. He turned, tore open a spatial rift with a wave, and prepared to leave. The Jun clan's divine son looked at Yuan Zhixian, smiling. Brother Yuan, I must return first. I'll visit the Yuan clan again soon. Yuan Zhixian nodded. All right. I'll receive you personally when you come. He bowed to the Jun and Jade elders, then followed the Yuan clan into the rift. The Jun and Jade factions also departed soon after, leaving the canyon entrance full of stunned, speechless witnesses. After everyone left, the golden-winged rock ancestor frowned. With the 4 of us, could we not hold back the Yuan ninth ancestor? Why agree to compensation? The true dragon ancestor's face was grim. Hold him back, he repeated softly. Do you really believe that? He looked toward the disappearing rift. Countless eons ago, he nearly forced the Lord of the Netherworld to the edge. Tell me, who among us can do that? He exhaled. Unless we have no choice, we do not make an enemy of that man. The Xianmen ancestor clenched his fists. So we just let the Yuan divine son kill ours for nothing? The true dragon ancestor's eyes narrowed. No. He paused, voice turning colder. The divine source realm, sealed for countless epochs, is about to open. Our ancient prodigies sleep inside. With the golden age rising, it's time to awaken them. His lips curled slightly. Our imperial prince is also about to be born. He looked toward the horizon, like he could already see blood. Let the Yuan divine son face them. If he dies in a battle among peers, even the Yuan ninth ancestor will have no excuse to rage. One by one, the other ancestors nodded, their anger turning into planning. And far away, within the Yuan clan, the ninth ancestor's voice sounded again, calm but absolute. Zhixian, come to the ancestral land. Yuan Zhixian bowed lightly toward the others. You all return to the divine palace. I'm going to the ancestral land. Gold light flashed. He vanished. In the ancestral land, the ninth ancestor looked at him, his eyes full of satisfaction. Zhixian, he asked, what did you gain from the canyon's secret realm? Yuan Zhixian did not hide anything. 3 treasures. Oh. The ninth ancestor's interest rose. Tell me. The first is the enlightenment tea tree. The ninth ancestor smiled. A legendary treasure. It sharpens one's understanding of the Tao and aids comprehension of the great Tao itself. Very good. This opportunity was meant for you. Yuan Zhixian blinked. He expected shock, excitement, even disbelief, yet the ninth ancestor was unfazed. Then he continued, deliberately slowing his tone. The second is a mysterious bead. The ninth ancestor raised an eyebrow. What bead? Yuan Zhixian spoke clearly. Immortal breaking pearl. The ninth ancestor's calm finally cracked. You obtained the immortal breaking pearl? His expression shifted, as if old memories stirred. Yuan Zhixian watched closely and pressed. Ninth ancestor, you know it? That pearl can create worlds. The ninth ancestor coughed once, then regained composure. I know it. But you must also know, this pearl carries heavenly Tao karma. Whoever holds it must bear and settle that cause and effect. Yuan Zhixian nodded. I know. The senior who left the inheritance explained the karma, the world creation function, everything. The ninth ancestor's eyes sharpened. What senior? He called himself a member of the Heavenly Mandate clan. This time, the ninth ancestor's eyes widened. The Heavenly Mandate clan, prophets among the innate human race. Born understanding yin-yang, able to glimpse the future. Their great Heavenly Mandate technique can peer through the river of time. He frowned. Why would they let you inherit the immortal breaking pearl? The ninth ancestor muttered, puzzled, thinking aloud. Yuan Zhixian smiled faintly, then said each word slowly, like a nail being hammered in. He called me a rebel against fate. The ninth ancestor's composure shattered. What?
Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If there's a novel you'd love to hear more of, you can support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Depending on your tier, I'll make extra parts just for the stories you're most excited about. Usually I can only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel, but with your support we can go beyond that. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps more than you know.
Seeing the ninth ancestor's surprise, Yuan Zhixian slightly pouted, thinking that the ninth ancestor would remain calm and collected in the face of anything. What did you say? They call you a rebel. Ninth ancestor asked once again with certainty. Yes, they say I can rewrite the universe, rewrite all things, and rewrite destiny. I never expected that the one who defied fate would be a member of my Yuan clan. It seems that some things, some matters, need to be brought forward, the ninth ancestor of the Yuan clan muttered to himself. Ninth ancestor not only knows about the immortal breaking pearl, but also about the destroyer. Clearly, ninth ancestor understands the matter of creation, and when I asked the elders of the Heavenly Mandate clan before, they were unwilling to say whether they knew the origin of our clan. I'm becoming more and more curious about what exactly is going on, Yuan Zhixian thought to himself at this moment. Then Yuan Zhixian asked again, Ninth ancestor, do you know about the Celestial clan? The Celestial clan? The ninth ancestor of the Yuan clan narrowed his eyes slightly upon hearing these 4 words. He then said, the Celestial clan is one of the 3 clans of the Heavenly Tao, and they consider themselves the administrators of the Heavenly Tao. They are responsible for managing all living beings in the world, but cannot directly participate in the affairs of the world. The immortal Yuan asked again, the 3 clans of heaven? What about my Yuan clan? What is the relationship between my Yuan clan and them? There's no real connection. We only had brief contact countless eons ago due to some events. But I've always felt that this clan seems to be plotting something big, the ninth ancestor replied. How does my clan compare to this clan? Yuan Zhixian asked like a curious child. I know you're very curious about some things, but your strength is still too weak. There are some things you don't need to know. When your strength increases, you will understand many things. Immortal, remember this. Do whatever you want. We'll support you in everything, even if you kill the divine son of the Celestial clan, the ninth ancestor said to Yuan Zhixian with a smile. What is the last item passed down through generations? Ninth ancestor continued to ask curiously. World seeds. As soon as Yuan Zhixian finished speaking, a terrifying aura suddenly permeated the entire ancestral land, and gusts of wind swept through the space, causing it to tremble. The 9 ice coffins at the front swayed gently, as if they wanted to rise from the dead, while the 3 jade coffins at the top, made of some unknown material, also emitted bursts of light, as if these 4 characters possessed immense power. Yuan Zhixian turned back to look at the 9th ancestor. The 9th ancestor's eyes were wide, and his body was visibly trembling slightly. He then asked again, confirming, "Are you sure it's the world seed of the world tree?" "Yes, 9th ancestor." After saying this, a huge golden phantom tree appeared behind Yuan Zhixian, and a golden seed emitting 7-colored light appeared in front of Yuan Zhixian. It truly is the world seed. It truly is the world seed. Excellent. 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 Immortal, you must remember this. You must never use the power of this world seed until you reach the level of a mythical emperor. This item is far too important. You must remember this. Since the 9th ancestor had said so, Yuan Zhixian immediately agreed. Then the 9th ancestor said, "This matter is too shocking. I need to sort it out. Go to your father. He has something to tell you." Yuan Zhixian then bowed and said, "Then this immortal will take his leave." As soon as Yuan Zhixian left the ancestral land, the 9th ancestor spoke to the void. "I never imagined that what our clan has been searching for countless years would actually be on Yuan Zhixian." Before he could finish speaking, the 8th ice coffin at the very front began to shake violently. Then a golden light flashed from the mouth of the coffin, and a middle-aged man sat up. He had probably not moved his body for countless years, and he stretched, his joints creaking and groaning. The middle-aged man then looked at the light emanating from the 7 ice coffins and the 3 jade coffins at the top, made of some unknown material. He nodded, then flashed to the 9th ancestor and immediately said, "I understand. This matter is of great importance. 9th ancestor, let me protect this child, the banished immortal." "Understood, Mina," 9th ancestor replied. At this moment, Yuan Zhixian arrived at Yuan Chongqing's study. Looking at his proud son, Yuan Chongqing put down his work and smiled at Yuan Zhixian, saying, "Zhixian, you're back. I've had the servants prepare some food today. Your mother will be here soon, and we'll all have a good meal together as a family." Looking at his father, whom he rarely sees these days, Yuan Zhixian was deeply moved. He had never had a proper meal with his parents since he was born. Now, he could finally take this opportunity to spend some quality time with them and have a heart-to-heart talk. Soon after, Yu Lingqing arrived, and the servants had already prepared all the food. The family sat down at the table and began chatting about everyday things. Yuan Chongqing first asked, "Immortal, in this golden age, the great Tao is in turmoil, and many geniuses and prodigies have emerged. Your grandfather also told me about this matter in the secret realm. Your mother and I are very worried. We firmly believe that you can sweep away everything among your peers, but we are afraid that some shameless old fogies will secretly make a move. So you must be careful and cautious in everything you do in the future." While eating, Yuan Zhixian said, "I understand, father. I will remember those who acted in secret. When I grow up, I will personally suppress their lineage. You just need to focus on growing up. The family will support you in everything else," Yuan Chongqing said with a smile. He then added, "Now that you've come of age, it's time to have offspring. You know, the stronger your cultivation, the harder it is to conceive. I think the goddess from the Tai family is quite suitable. When do you think you should?" "Father. Stop. Stop. My focus is on cultivation right now. We can talk about this later," Yuan Zhixian said helplessly. Yu Lingqing remained silent, serving food to Yuan Zhixian while attentively listening to the father and son's conversation. The family enjoyed their meal together, and afterwards Yuan Chongqing led Yuan Zhixian to the Yuan clan's council hall. Inside the hall, the elders, senior members, and core figures of the Yuan clan were all present. Yuan Chongqing glanced at everyone and said, "It is said that a heaven-defying treasure has appeared in the mortal realm. This time, I wish to send a banished immortal down to the mortal realm. What do you all think?" An elder of the clan said, "The divine child is the foundation of our clan's destiny. This time, the one chosen to descend to the mortal realm should be the divine child." Another elder said, "The divine child has just returned from the valley's secret realm, and hasn't had a proper rest before heading to the lower realm. Such a long and arduous journey might harm his health. I think it would be better to send another of our clan's most outstanding talents. At this moment, another elder of the Supreme Clan said, "The strongest person in the lower realm is a quasi-saint realm expert. I fear that sending other geniuses and prodigies from our clan would not be enough to defeat them. This time, I also feel that the Divine Child is the suitable candidate. Immortal, what do you think?" Yuan Chaoxing was too lazy to listen to the elder's argument and directly threw the question at Yuan Zhixian. The lower realm? A heaven-defying object? Sounds good. Father, let me go down this time. I'll take Zifeng, Yenner, my cousin Ruochu, and Jingtian with me. Yuan Zhixian pondered for a moment and then immediately said, "All right, then you should go back to the Divine Palace to prepare. You can set off later." Yuan Changsheng waved his hand at Yuan Zhixian and said. Yuan Zhixian bowed to Yuan Changsheng and said, "Father, I'll take my leave now." As soon as Yuan Zhixian stepped out of the council hall, a voice rang in his ears. Ding! Yo! Dog Commander's got another mission. Ahem, host, please watch your language. What are you calling system or dog? I've already shut up. This dog system is going too far. What? You have a problem with that. If you call me dog system again, believe me, I'll double-cross you and steal your mission points, the system threatened. Oh ho, either you're self-destructing or just playing around. Now you're threatening me? You've gotten quite bold. Whether it develops skills or not, I don't know, but this is how it has to be for a bad host like you. All right, stop fooling around. Stop fooling around. Don't joke about mission points, Yuan Zhixian said seriously. Please complete the daily check-in in the Tianlan realm. Reward. Special spell. Susanoo Set Anomalous Phenomenon. Please obtain a heaven-defying item. The reward is 200,000 mission points. Susanoo Set Phenomenon? Yuan Zhixian was also very puzzled upon hearing this. He knew that the Susanoo Set Great Buddha was a powerful skill from a popular anime in his previous life. What on earth was this Susanoo Set phenomenon? After signing in, the host will naturally know the function of the skill. The system then fell silent. Divine Palace. Seeing the returning divine children, Yuan Zifeng and Yuan Yenner were overjoyed. Previously, Yuan Zhixian had intended for them to go to the Valley's secret realm together, but considering their insufficient strength, she had them stay at the Divine Palace. He then took out some of the elixirs and sacred medicines he had obtained in the canyon's secret realm and gave them to them, including the Ice Water Frost Spirit Herb. He then said to the two, "Inform your cousin Ruochu and Jingtian that the four of you will accompany me down to the mortal realm later." The lower realm? Great, great. Yuan Yenner was overjoyed. She hadn't gone out much since arriving in the Yuan clan, so this rare opportunity to go out was sure to make her very happy. After all, what girl doesn't enjoy strolling around and seeing novelties? Yuan Zifeng remained as aloof as ever, asking, "Divine Child, what brings you to the mortal realm this time? Why so suddenly?" "My father said that something extraordinary has been born in the mortal realm, and this mission is to send us down to investigate," Yuan Zhixian explained. "I see." After learning about the situation, Yuan Zifeng went to inform Yuan Ruochu and Ji Jingtian. Then all four of them stood in the main hall of the Divine Palace. At present, Ji Jingtian's Dao Body Realm was at the 8th level, Yuan Ruochu's Dao Body Realm was at the 6th level, Yuan Zifeng's Dao Body Realm was at the 6th level, and Yuan Yenner's Dao Body Realm was at the 3rd level. Among them, even the weakest Yuan Yenner could sweep away all the geniuses and prodigies in the lower realm by herself. Then, Yuan Zhixian led the four to the location of the Yuan clan's spatial teleportation array. An elder, upon seeing Yuan Zhixian, immediately bowed and said, "Divine Child, the interdimensional teleportation array is ready. We can depart at any time." He then produced a jade pendant, saying, "When the Divine Child returns, simply infuse this jade pendant with spiritual power, and I will return to open the interdimensional teleportation gate and bring the Divine Child back." "Thank you for your trouble, Elder," Yuan Zhixian said with a bow. He then led the four of them into the interdimensional teleportation array. Tianlan Realm is one of the 3,000 minor worlds. The strongest person in this world is only at the quasi-saint realm. Once they become a saint, they can only stay in this world for a few days before being guided to the upper realm by the light of guidance. This is because the lower realm can only withstand the power of a saint. If a powerhouse above the saint level were to descend upon this world, they could collapse it with just a single aura. Once, a disciple of a powerful great sage was killed by an enemy. Fearing retribution from this great sage, the enemy tried to escape to the lower realm. In the end, to avenge his disciple, this great sage descended to the lower realm in his true form. Subsequently, the lower realm collapsed due to the inability to withstand his great sage power, causing the deaths of countless people. Then, the heavenly Tao unleashed divine punishment, instantly annihilating this great sage. The entire world of Tianlan realm is divided into 5 continents, one each in the east, west, south, north, and center. Among them, the central continent is the most powerful, followed by the eastern continent. In the family hall of a remote place within the territory of the Yen Kingdom in the Tianlan realm, northern continent, a young man who looked about 16 or 17 years old frowned and looked at the people above him, speaking to him. Lin Yan, do you even deserve Zixian? If it weren't for the old man saving Zixuan's grandfather back then and leaving behind a marriage agreement, do you really think a piece of trash like you, who hasn't even reached the 3rd level of body tempering, could have spoken to Zixuan? Zixian is now an inner disciple of the Xianlin sect, and has even caught the eye of Huaxing, a core disciple and a 4th-level blood transformation realm expert. What right do you have to compete with him? Now that your grandfather and father are gone, they want you to dissolve your engagement with Zixian, but you keep making excuses. What do you mean by this? Do you want our Lin family to be wiped out? Looking at the group of utterly detestable clansmen above him, Lin Yan inwardly sneered. 3rd-level body tempering realm? How laughable. I'm already a 1st-level cave heaven realm expert. If I hadn't been hiding my cultivation, I truly wouldn't have seen through the true nature of these clansmen. Lin Yan was from an ordinary family in a remote area of Yen Kingdom. He had ordinary talent and was an ordinary person who should have lived an ordinary life. However, a few years ago, Lin Yan obtained a pile of black soil from somewhere. He then used this black soil to cultivate various spiritual herbs and pills. The spiritual herbs and pills nurtured by the black soil also enabled Lin Yan to rapidly improve his cultivation. After the Lin family elder finished speaking, a handsome young man holding a fan stepped forward and said fiercely, Lin Yan, I have come personally to dissolve Zixian's engagement. Don't push your luck. He then glanced at the woman beside him with adoring eyes. This woman was exceptionally aloof, yet her beauty was breathtaking. She was a rare beauty indeed. This was Zhao Zixuan, the daughter of the Zhao family patriarch. At this moment, Lin Yan also pursed his lips and looked at Zhao Zixuan, saying, Zixuan, what do you think? Zhao Zixuan coldly uttered, we have no connection whatsoever. You want to bind me for life with a marriage contract? Of course I refuse. Therefore, I hope you, young Master Lin, will annul the engagement, so that we can all be at peace. Just as Lin Yan was about to speak, a dazzling light suddenly emanated from the square outside the Lin family's residence. A huge beam of light descended from the sky, and after the light dissipated, 5 young men and women appeared. Is this the lower realm? Why is the spiritual energy in the lower realm so thin? This time, we must thoroughly explore the mortal realm, you divine being. Hearing their words, Yuan Zhixian, after assessing the situation in the lower realm, turned to the 4 and said, in front of those in the lower realm, do not call me divine son, call me young master. The 4 looked at Yuan Zhixian with confusion, but since their divine son had already given the order, they could only comply. They immediately replied, yes, young master. Then Yuan Zhixian looked into the hall across the square, where a group of people were surrounding a young man. Above the young man stood an old man with a fawning expression. Next to him was a young man of high status and a cold, aloof woman. Upon seeing this, Yuan Zhixian seemed to understand something, then smiled slightly and muttered to himself, the annulment of an engagement trope? I'm familiar with this plot. Those who were originally in the hall came out to see what was going on when they saw the dazzling light. Upon seeing Yuan Zhixian and his 4 companions, all dressed in magnificent attire and exuding an air of grandeur, especially Yuan Zhixian himself, whose appearance and demeanor were absolutely perfect, like celestial beings, the Lin family sensed that they were no ordinary people. They then inquired, "May I ask who you are? What brings you to my Lin family?" Yuan Zhixian smiled slightly and said, "We are from a reclusive family, and our current appearance in the mortal world is merely a journey. However, as dusk approaches, we wish to find a place to stay." When Yuan Zhixian smiled, it was no big deal, but the moment he did, all the women present felt a sudden flutter in their hearts. Seeing such a perfectly handsome man, they too were captivated. At this moment, Huixing, who was standing to the side, was secretly very annoyed as he watched Zhao Zixuan staring intently at Yuan Zhixian. However, he still maintained his composure and said, "In that case, please take your seats in the hall, my friends." He then gestured to the Lin family's eldest elder with his eyes. The Lin family's eldest elder, realizing what was happening, immediately said, "Yes, yes, please take your seats in the main hall." Then he led Yuan Zhixian and the 4 others to the main hall. Yuan Zhixian saw Lin Yan still in the hall, and the world seed in his soul suddenly flashed with 7-colored light. Yuan Zhixian immediately used his divine sense to observe Lin Yan's condition. He then discovered that this person was extremely ordinary in every way, except that the elixirs and medicines he carried were slightly amiss. He then withdrew his divine sense and stopped looking at Lin Yan. At this moment, the Lin family's eldest elder said to Yuan Zhixian, "Please wait a moment, everyone. I need to take care of some family matters." "It's all right," Yuan Zhixian said, waving his hand. Then the Lin family elder continued, "Lin Yan, even now, you're still fantasizing about wonderful things. Quickly dissolve the engagement, and everyone will be better off." Yuan Zhixian found this scene somewhat amusing. He had read too many novels with similar plots in his previous life, such as 30 Years East of the River, 30 Years West of the River, Never Underestimate the Poor When Young, and 10 Years East of the River, then West of the River. Never Laugh at the Poor in Tattered Clothes. He was all too familiar with these stories. At this moment, Lin Yan said, all right, I'll break off the engagement." That's right, a wise person knows when to yield. Seeing Lin Yan's reaction, the Lin family's eldest elder and Huixing both smiled. Zhao Zixuan remained silent, glancing at Yuan Zhixian from time to time. But then Lin Yan said, "Breaking off the engagement means my dreams are shattered. Won't you give me some emotional compensation to soothe my fragile heart?" Yuan Zhixian was also astonished. This plot seemed a little different from what he was used to. Shouldn't it be someone throwing out some grand and ambitious words with great fanfare? How did it suddenly become so cheeky and go along with it, and even offer some kind of emotional compensation? Upon hearing Lin Yan's words, the Lin family's eldest elder and Huixing were slightly taken aback, then asked, "What do you want?" "Give me a dozen or 20 elixirs or miraculous medicines. My young heart needs these elixirs and miraculous medicines to soothe it slowly." Seeing Lin Yan's shamelessness, the Lin family's eldest elder felt utterly humiliated. Huixing's expression darkened slightly as he said, "Do you think you're like cabbage, where you can just pick a dozen or 20 at a time? I have 5 chi-boosting pills here. Take them or leave them." "Fine. I'll annul the engagement right away." "Annul it right away." Lin Yan then produced the marriage certificate written by his grandfather and Zhao Zixuan's grandfather, and then set it on fire. Then he said to the Lin family's eldest elder, "Now that the matter is settled, I will take my leave." He then glanced at Yuan Zhixian in alarm and immediately left the hall. What a waste. The Lin family's eldest elder was also surprised that Lin Yan was so absurd and useless. He then said to Yuan Zhixian, "Please forgive my rudeness, everyone. Please come with me to the guest room to rest." He then led Yuan Zhixian to the guest room. Inside the guest room, Yuan Ruochu and the others stood before Yuan Zhixian, looking at him and asking, "Divine child, Lin Yan gave me a very strange feeling today." Yuan Zhixian sat at the tea table, holding a cup in one hand and pouring tea with the other, and said calmly, "Brother, you've noticed it too?" "That's right. This person's talent and aptitude are both average, not even as good as that Huaxing. Logically speaking, his best achievement in this life should only be around the blood-refining realm. But this person is actually a cave heaven realm expert, and his aura is stable. Could it be that this person has some kind of unparalleled opportunity?" Yuan Ruochu said. "That's right, divine child. Unless there's an extraordinary opportunity, it's impossible for someone with such ordinary talent to advance to the cave heaven realm in the lower realm," Ji Jingtian said at this moment. Yuan Zhixian took a sip of tea and said, "What you all say is correct. This person's talent is indeed ordinary, even extremely poor. He should be someone with an extraordinary destiny. I examined this person with my divine sense today and found nothing unusual except for some strange pills. I think we can examine this person further through his pills." He then said to Yuan Zifeng, "Zifeng, go and investigate Lin Yan's dealings with these pills." "Yes," Yuan Zifeng said, then vanished in a flash. Afterwards, Yuan Ruochu, Ji Jingtian, and Yuan Yener also left Yuan Zhixian's room and returned to their own residences. Night falls. Yuan Zhixian sat by the window, sipping tea and gazing at the bright crescent moon outside. A slight smile appeared on his face, and he glanced at the moon and said softly, "Since you're here, why not come and sit down for a cup of tea? You knew I would come?" At that moment, Lin Yan appeared in Yuan Zhixian's room. "My intuition tells me you will come to find me, and tonight no less," Yuan Zhixian said calmly. "You're here to arrest me," Lin Yan said through gritted teeth. "Arrest you? I have never met you before, nor do I know you. Why would I arrest you?" Yuan Zhixian said calmly. "You are definitely not ordinary people. Who exactly are you, and what is your purpose in coming to the Lin family?" Lin Yan continued to ask. "We are a reclusive family, and this trip is merely a journey through the mortal world," Yuan Zhixian replied. Lin Yan thought to himself, "A reclusive family? Rumor has it that reclusive families are detached from worldly affairs, yet their strength is terrifying. Even imperial dynasties and some holy lands dare not easily provoke them. Moreover, this person doesn't possess any spiritual energy fluctuations, but the spiritual energy fluctuations of those accompanying him are quite strong. They are probably his subordinates. Heir of a reclusive family? It seems I can make some careful plans." He then said, "Since you are a descendant of a reclusive family, how about we make a deal? Tell me about it." Yuan Zhixian was also intrigued. This person was probably the first to dare to make a deal with him. "I recently acquired a treasure, but someone with ill intentions tried to steal it. I managed to escape, but I fear they will come looking for me sooner or later. Therefore, I would like to ask you, young master, to help me deal with these people. As a token of my gratitude, I am willing to offer some elixirs and medicinal herbs. My elixirs and herbs are several times more effective than their original ingredients. What do you say, young master?" After pondering for a moment, Yuan Zhixian readily agreed to his request. Lin Yan then left Yuan Zhixian's room with a shrewd and calculating look in his eyes. At this moment, four figures flashed and appeared before Yuan Zhixian. Yuan Zifeng then cupped his hands to Yuan Zhixian and said, "Divine child, I discovered that all the spiritual pills and herbs this person possesses are cultivated by himself, and these pills and herbs grow extremely quickly, with their medicinal effects being several to 10 times greater than the originals." After Yuan Zifeng finished speaking, Yuan Ruochu and Ji Jingtian were slightly shocked. Even the best herbalists in the upper realm could only cultivate elixirs with a few times to 10 times their original potency. And Lin Yan could actually achieve more than 10 times? Did he possess the talent of an unparalleled herbalist? Elixirs, herbs, and spiritual herbs, these spiritual roots of heaven and earth, once discovered, are mostly brought back to one's own family to be cultivated again. Those who cultivate them are called herbalists. Just like alchemists, one cultivates and the other refines. Divine child, you still agreed to his request? This is too troublesome. How about I capture him and search his soul directly? Everything will be clear then. Yuan Ruochu said at this moment. "No, Yuan Zhixian denied. Why? Yuan Ruochu asked, puzzled. At this moment, Yuan Zhixian explained, this person has two main characteristics. First, his natural talent is extremely ordinary. Second, he doesn't possess the innate spiritual power of a pharmacist. Yet, he can cultivate elixirs and herbs with several times the yield of their original plants. This can only mean the problem lies with the soil. Then Yuan Zhixian continued. He mentioned earlier that he obtained a treasure and was being hunted. I think it must be the soil. This person isn't a chosen one, but he possesses an unparalleled opportunity. If we search his soul, we'll know the location of that soil, but we won't be able to enter due to the limitations of our opportunity. Unless someone with extraordinary fortune leads us into this place, no one can enter. That place might be our target for this descent to the mortal realm. That's why we're keeping him alive. Now, not only can we not harm him, but we must also utilize him. I have a plan for everything. Upon hearing Yuan Zhixian's explanation, everyone immediately understood. Yuan Yener exclaimed with admiration, "Wow, divine child, you're amazing. Not only did you see the problem, but you also plan to use him. Unlike some people who just search souls at the drop of a hat." She then stuck out her tongue at Yuan Ruochu. All right. Yuan Zhixian waved his hand and said, let's leave it at that for now. You may all step aside. Yes, divine child, the four bowed and then left the room. Just after everyone left, Yuan Zhixian smiled slightly and said, it seems tonight is destined to be a sleepless night. At that moment, another figure appeared in Yuan Zhixian's room. Yuan Zhixian, still gazing at the bright white moon, said without turning her head, Miss, what urgent matter brings you out so late at night? A graceful figure slowly walked out. It was Zhao Zixuan. I've heard that you are a descendant of a reclusive sect, so I have a question I'd like to ask you, Zhao Zixuan said. What is it? Yuan Zhixian asked. I wonder if you know about the Xian Yincha body, young master? Zhao Zixuan asked expectantly. Yuan Zhixian smiled slightly and immediately said, the Xian Yincha body is an extremely cold body. Moreover, those who possess the Xian Yincha body suffer daily from the corrosive effects of cold poison. And importantly, those with the Xian Yincha body do not live past the age of 20. Upon hearing Yuan Zhixian's words, Zhao Zixuan's body trembled slightly, for she herself possessed the Xian Yincha physique. At this moment, filled with hope, she continued to ask, then, young master, do you have a way to save me? Of course there is a way to save us, said Yuan Zhixian. Then, young master, could you please tell me? Zhao Zixuan asked anxiously. Why should I tell you? Even if I did, there would be nothing you could do, Yuan Zhixian said calmly, looking at the anxious Zhao Zixuan. Zhao Zixuan was completely panicked. Then, contrary to his usual demeanor, Yuan Zhixian said, however, saving a life is more meritorious than building a 7-story pagoda. Miss Zixuan, I can help you, but what? Zhao Zixuan asked immediately. However, the Xian Yincha body needs an extremely young substance to dispel the cold poison within its body. This extremely young substance will generate high temperatures in the process of dispelling the cold poison. If you are wearing clothes, it may damage your skin. Therefore, you need to take off your clothes, Yuan Zhixian said. Zhao Zixuan was shocked, but also thought to herself, he wouldn't be trying to take advantage of me, would he? Don't worry, Miss Zixuan. I am a gentleman and would never harm you in the slightest. If you think I'm taking advantage of you, I can simply close my eyes. If that doesn't work, then I really can't help you, Yuan Zhixian said with conviction. Well, all right then. In order to get rid of the pain of the cold poison as soon as possible, Zhao Zixuan had no choice but to believe in Yuan Zhixian. Her pretty face flushed instantly, and she slowly unbuttoned her clothes, revealing a perfect body to Yuan Zhixian, curvaceous, well-proportioned, and with skin as white as a baby's. Zhao Zixuan covered her chest with one hand and her lower body with the other. Yuan Zhixian immediately closed his eyes and then had Zhao Zixuan lie on the bed. Zhao Zixuan lay on the bed, gazing at the closed-eyed Yuan Zhixian, her heart pounding rapidly, her entire body slightly flushed. Yuan Zhexian's perfect appearance, noble character, and powerful background, it was impossible not to be moved. Yuan Zhexian then waved his hand, and an extreme yang saint pill appeared in the void. He said, "Ready to begin." With a flick of his finger, the extreme yang saint pill instantly entered Zhao Zixuan's body. Then, Zhao Zixuan's body occasionally emitted a faint red light, accompanied by a painful groan. Seeing that everything was over, Yuan Zhexian went straight to the window, sat cross-legged, and waited for the extreme yang power of the extreme yang holy pill to clear the cold poison from Zhao Zixuan's body. And so the night passed, and the next morning, the Lin family's grand elder, the Lin family's disciples, and Hu Xing arrived early at Yuan Zhexian's room. Yuan Zhexian sensed that someone was coming, opened her eyes, and got up to open the door. "Did you rest well last night, young master?" the Lin family elder asked as Yuan Zhexian opened the door. "Very good. I also thank the Grand Elder for his hospitality." Just as Yuan Zhexian finished speaking, Zhao Zixuan in the room had already woken up. The cold poison in her body had been completely cleared, and her cultivation was faintly about to break through to the blood transformation realm. At this moment, she walked out of the room while stretching and tidying her clothes. Whoosh! In an instant, everyone was stunned. In broad daylight, Zhao Zixuan actually walked out of Yuan Zhexian's room, and she even had a rosy complexion and was straightening her clothes. This made everyone speculate wildly. You. At this moment, Wu Xing's eyes were bloodshot, his fists clenched tightly, and the aura of the blood transformation realm erupted from his body in an instant. Seeing his beloved walk out of another man's room, his heart was bleeding. He instantly flew into a rage and, without asking any questions, threw a punch at Yuan Zhexian. Yuan Zhexian remained unmoved as Hu Xing unleashed a punch, his eyes filled with indifference. "How dare you!" Yuan Zifeng appeared in front of Hu Xing in an instant, blocking Hu Xing's fist with a finger. He then said, "How dare an ant be so insolent to the young master?" Then, a golden light flashed from his finger, and Hu Xing was slammed heavily against the wall by the recoil of the golden light. Hu Xing then slowly stood up, clutching his chest. He was severely injured. He looked at Yuan Zifeng in disbelief. He could sense that Yuan Zifeng was strong, but he hadn't expected him to be this strong. A single finger had seriously injured him, a cultivator at the blood-refining realm. He then roared at the sky, "Elder, help me kill them. I want them to suffer a fate worse than death." After Hu Xing roared towards the sky, an old man with the cultivation level of the 9th stage of the cave heaven realm slowly flew down from the sky, glanced at the injured Hu Xing, and then coldly looked at Yuan Zhexian and Yuan Zifeng and said, "I've heard that reclusive families possess countless precious treasures and cultivation techniques. As a descendant of a reclusive family, you must have quite a few good things on you. If I kill you, everything on you will be mine," the elders said excitedly. "Are you desperate for money? Do you intend to kill someone and steal their treasure?" Yuan Zhexian said, looking at the clown. "Blame yourselves for being too ostentatious and lacking restraint. You dared to flaunt your status as a reclusive family without any protectors. I was planning to make my move after you left the Lin family, but it seems I have no choice. You, this walking treasure trove, I'll gladly accept you," the old man said happily. At this moment, Zhao Zixuan stepped forward and said, "Elder, how can you do this? Aren't you afraid the hidden families will come after you? Can't you let young master and the others go?" "Humph. Zhao Zixuan, you are merely an inner disciple. How dare you interfere in my affairs?" the old man said condescendingly to Zhao Zixuan. But Zhao Zixuan was about to say something when she was interrupted by the old man. "Shut up. If you say another word, I'll punish you according to the clan rules." Hu Xing's face was also dark with anger. Seeing Zhao Zixuan still protecting Yuan Zhexian, he grew angrier and immediately cried out in a heart-wrenching voice, "Zhao Zixuan, you be **ch. I've loved you so much for so many years, and I've tried so hard to please you. You only met this man once, and you actually—" "No, that's not how it is." Zhao Zixuan was about to retort, but Hu Xing's next words left her completely dumbfounded. You said you were reserved, waiting for me to come to you, but I was so naive. If I had known you were such ***T, I should have slept with you much earlier. Your Xian In Cha Ti dual cultivation not only increases cultivation, but I've also heard it makes you a top-tier physique in bed. Don't worry, after we kill them, I'll treat you well. Hua Xing's face became increasingly ferocious as he spoke. These words struck Zhao Zixuan like a bolt from the blue, leaving her stunned and unable to process them. She hadn't expected Hua Xing to be such a person, so utterly despicable. Seeing Zhao Zixuan so heartbroken and in pain, Yuan Zhixian immediately smiled wickedly and stepped forward to comfort her, saying, "Miss Zixuan, such a disgusting person is truly unworthy of you. It's a good thing you saw through him sooner. If you want to cry, then cry. My shoulder is always there for you. You'll feel better after you've cried." Zhao Zixuan, who had been choking back tears, looked at the gentle and handsome Yuan Zhixian and said, "Why did you appear so late? If only I had met you sooner." She then quietly buried her face in Yuan Zhixian's shoulder and wept, her tears soaking his clothes. Seeing this, Hua Xing was furious. He immediately shouted to the old man, "Elder, what are we waiting for? Kill this adulterous couple." The old man then said, "If you still want to indulge in pleasures on your deathbed, then this elder will grant your wish." "Shut up. Yenner, wipe them out," Yuan Zhixian said to the air, gently patting Zhao Zixuan's back as he rested his head on her pillow. "All right, young master." At this moment, a golden light flashed before the old man and Hua Xing, and Yuan Yenner appeared in front of them. Then, Yuan Yenner's spiritual power surged, and several water droplets appeared in the void. Then she softly said to the two of them, "Weak ice 3000. Instantly, the water droplets condensed into palm-sized rhomboid ice cones. The speed was so fast that the two of them had not even had time to react before they were directly pierced by the ice cones and fell to the ground, lifeless. The Grand Elder, standing to the side, also stared wide-eyed, trembling all over. This was a 9th-level cave heaven realm expert. She'd been instantly killed? Just how terrifying was this young girl's cultivation? Then Yuan Zhixian said to the Grand Elder, "I would like to trouble the Grand Elder to have the servants take Miss Zixuan to rest." After saying that, Zhao Zixuan, who was crying and sleeping on Yuan Zhixian's shoulder, was lifted up by Yuan Zhixian's spiritual power, and then the servants took Zhao Zixuan back to her room to rest. Yuan Zhixian stretched and said, "This whole affair is giving me a headache. Elder, I'd like to rest a bit more." All right. Please do as you please, sir." At this point, the way he addressed the Grand Elder had changed. He then left with his men. As soon as they entered the room, Yuan Zhixian immediately said to Yuan Yenner, "Yenner, quick, water from the rootless well. I need to wash my hands. Also, I've lost that piece of clothing. Don't bother with it." Seeing Yuan Zhixian's overreaction, Yuan Yenner was immediately taken aback. She asked, "Divine Child, you were so kind to Miss Zixuan just now. Why are you acting like this now? Although this woman is a tool I use to control Lin Yan, I am a person with mysophobia. Besides, if I don't treat her well, how can she be devoted to working for me?" Yuan Zhixian replied immediately. At this moment, Yuan Yenner and the other three realized that Yuan Zhixian was plotting something. They also understood that this was what the Divine Child meant when he said, "If you can use your brain, don't use your hands." At this moment, in a secret chamber of a sacred site in the Tianlan realm, a middle-aged man who had been in seclusion suddenly opened his eyes, watching the soul fire within the jade stone in his hand extinguish. He then roared into the chamber, "My son, my son. Who dared to kill my son? I will never let this person go. I will tear the one who killed you to pieces and avenge you." A few days later, Yuan Zhixian arrived at the Lin family's main hall with 4 others. Looking at the Lin family's Grand Elder, he said, "We have been quite a bother these past few days. Today we intend to continue our travels in the mortal world." The Lin family elder then asked, "My lord, where do you wish to go next?" After feigning a moment's thought, Yuan Zhixian said, "Let's go to the capital of Yan Kingdom. Miss Zixuan is still resting. Please trouble the Grand Elder to inform her. We're leaving now, I won't disturb her. Let her rest well." All right, no problem. Then I wish you a safe and successful journey through the mortal world, sir. The Lin family elder then cupped his hands in greeting. Afterwards, Yuan Zhixian led the four of them away from the Lin family. In the void, 5 people flew through the air. Ji Jingtian asked, "Divine child, we left without doing anything?" Yuan Zhixian smiled and said, "What do you think will happen if the sect's elders and core disciples all die at the Lin family's hands?" Ji Jingtian and the other 3 shook their heads, still puzzled. Of course, we'd send elders to investigate. It turned out we'd killed one of the Lin family's elders and a core disciple. Their deaths would surely enrage the sect. The Lin family would then be caught in the crossfire, and their extermination would be certain. What about Lin Yan and Zhao Zixuan? Ji Jingtian asked curiously. Lin Yan possesses the strength of the cave heaven realm and also has a great opportunity. He won't die so easily, but being hunted down is certain. Zhao Zixuan is an inner disciple of that sect, so the sect probably won't make things difficult for her. One is trying to escape pursuit, and the other has fallen for me. They will both come looking for me. I'll just wait for them in the Yan Kingdom's capital. The real fun is just beginning. After Yuan Zhixian finished speaking, he led the 4 of them to the capital of Yan Kingdom. A few days later, suddenly, a large group of powerful individuals appeared in the Lin family, including over a dozen at the Cave Heaven realm, with the leader being a divine power realm expert. Upon seeing so many powerful figures, the Lin family's grand elder, sweating profusely, cautiously inquired, "What are your orders, esteemed sirs?" The leader said, "Let me ask you, did the Xianlin sect elders and core disciples encounter trouble at your Lin family?" "Yes, sir. It is true that the elder and Lord Huixing were in trouble at my Lin family, but this has nothing to do with my Lin family. The person who killed the 2 lords has already gone to the royal city," the Lin family's eldest elder said, his body trembling slightly. Since they're already gone, what use are you to them? 2 core figures of my Xianlin sect died at the hands of your Lin family, so your entire Lin family shall be buried with them. Let's do it. In the end, the Lin family was reduced to ruins and nearly wiped out by the relentless bombardment of the powerful cultivator's spells. Only 2 members of the Lin family survived, Lin Yan, who fled immediately upon seeing the situation turn against him, but was being pursued by a group of experts at the Cave Heaven realm, and Zhao Zixuan, an inner disciple of the Xianlin sect, who was also taken back by the group. At this moment, Yuan Zhixian and his companions also arrived at the capital city of Yan Kingdom. This city was extremely prosperous, bustling with people, merchants, and vendors everywhere. Yuan Zhixian also arrived at a top-tier hotel in the city called Jiyuan. Jiyuan was the best and most luxurious hotel in the entire Tianlan realm, with branches in almost every important city in the Tianlan realm. As soon as Yuan Zhixian stepped through the door, the waiter, seeing the 5 people dressed in magnificent brocade robes and possessing extraordinary bearing, greeted them with a smile. "Are you gentlemen here for a meal or a stay? We have the finest food and the best rooms. What level of accommodation would you prefer?" "What level?" Yuan Zhixian asked curiously. The waiter then explained, "It's like this, sir. We have 4 levels here, heaven, earth, and all things. The things level only requires spirit stones to stay in, 1 low-grade spirit stone per day. The 10,000 level is 4 blood transporting, cave heaven realm experts, 10 low-grade spirit stones per day. The earth level is 4 divine power, Dao body realm experts, 100 spirit stones per day. And the heaven level is for the holy sons or core members of the various holy lands, or 4 reincarnation realm experts, 1 mid-grade spirit stone per day." The waiter became more and more enthusiastic as he spoke. "Give me 5 top-tier rooms," Yuan Ruochu said directly. At this moment, the waiter was also somewhat surprised and couldn't help but ask, "Gentlemen, what are your identities?" Although Yuan Zhixian and the others dressed and had an air of nonchalance, they didn't possess any aura and seemed just like ordinary people. Yuan Ruochu immediately said, "Our identities are not something you can ask. Here are 10 high-grade spirit stones. See if that's enough for the 5 of us to stay for a few days." "Gentlemen, "This is not in accordance with the rules," said one of the diners standing nearby. "Are you a waiter at this restaurant?" Yuan Zhixian asked. "No. This gentleman is also here for a meal," the waiter replied. "Get him out," Yuan Zhixian immediately ordered. "Yes, young master." Yuan Zifeng then pointed his finger at the man, and a flash of golden light appeared. The man flew straight out and crashed into the restaurant entrance, creating a large crater. Just then, inside room number C of the Heavenly Palace, a middle-aged man bowed to another person and said, "Holy Son, I just detected the aura of a Tao body realm expert, but their strength is definitely no weaker than mine." This middle-aged man actually possessed the cultivation of the reincarnation realm. "Oh, this tiny Yen kingdom actually has such a powerful figure. It seems we should go and make acquaintance with him. Perhaps we can win him over to help us, which would greatly increase our chances of winning the peerless treasure," the Holy Son said. Having said that, he went to the restaurant entrance, took out a jade pendant with the character Divine on it, and said to the waiter, "These are my friends. You don't have any objections, do you?" The waiter was astonished to see the jade pendant bearing the character for God. This was a symbol of the divine feather Holy Land, and only a Holy Son could wear such a pendant. He immediately bowed and said, "Yes, yes, since you are a friend of the Holy Son, then there is no problem." After saying this, he withdrew. Looking at the handsome young man ahead, Yuan Zhixian smiled and said, "My friend, may I ask what brings you here?" "I am the Holy Son of the Divine Feather Holy Land. Observing you all, I find you to be distinguished by your imposing presence and extraordinary bearing, truly outstanding individuals. Therefore, I wish to make your acquaintance. I wonder if you would do me the honor of joining me in my private room." Yuan Yenner was immediately displeased. Her divine son was the most noble person in the world, not someone that could be befriended by just anyone. She was about to say something, but Yuan Zhixian waved his hand to interrupt her and said, "Yenner, entering the world means experiencing human life, which is also a form of cultivation. Put aside your arrogant status, enjoy the myriad aspects of human life, and you will discover differences, which will also enhance your cultivation." Upon hearing what Yuan Zhixian said, Yuan Yenner and the other three immediately nodded in agreement. As a sixth-level expert in the divine power realm, the Divine Feather Saint Sun could naturally hear what Yuan Zhixian said, and was also shocked at this moment. Entering the mortal world? Could he be a successor of an ancient, reclusive sect? Even the Divine Feather Saint Sun secretly wondered. Yuan Zhixian then said to the Divine Feather Saint, "Since the saint has invited you, then please." With that, he and the Divine Feather Saint went into the private room. Inside the private room, the Divine Feather Saint spoke first. "Gentlemen, are you here for sightseeing?" Yuan Zhixian replied, "We are descendants of a reclusive family. This trip into the mortal world is merely a journey to broaden our understanding and strengthen our resolve." As expected of a descendant of a reclusive family, the Divine Feather Saint Sun thought to himself, feeling that his decision was correct. "Do you all have a destination in mind?" the Holy Son of Divine Feather continued to ask. "No, not yet. We haven't been in this world for long and don't know much about it. I wonder if the Holy Son of Divine Feather has any good recommendations, or if there's anything interesting happening recently," Yuan Zhixian said calmly. "There are so many beautiful places in the Tianlan realm that it would probably take you 10 or 20 years to travel to them all. But recently, something quite novel has happened," said the Divine Feather Saint Sun. "Oh? What's so interesting?" It's said that a few years ago, a mysterious space suddenly appeared in the northwest of the Tianlan realm. It radiated brilliant light, and the spiritual energy within was 10 times stronger than the outside world. Therefore, some powerful figures asserted that it must contain countless priceless treasures. Then, some strong individuals formed teams to explore it, but none of them returned, and the soul flames they left behind in their sects were extinguished. After finishing speaking, the Divine Feather Saint glanced at Yuan Zhixian and continued. Subsequently, even more powerful experts went to explore, but the result was the same. Until a young man appeared, who was only at the body-tempering realm. He actually entered that place and came out safely. "Oh, what's so strange about that?" Everyone has their own opportunities, said Yuan Zhixian. That's the problem. Someone wanted to capture this person and force him to lead them inside, but they searched for years without success. Only recently was he discovered. Strangely, in just 2 or 3 years, he actually advanced directly from the body-tempering realm to the cave heaven realm. He must have obtained some unparalleled treasure inside. Otherwise, such a terrifying advancement wouldn't be possible. Now, almost every powerful figure on the continent is searching for him. After the Divine Feather Saint Sun finished speaking, Yuan Zhixian knew who this person was and roughly understood the whole story. A space suddenly appeared in the Tianlan realm, and many powerful figures from the Tianlan realm went to explore it, but all of them perished. However, Lin Yan was a person of great fortune, treating the dangerous space like his own backyard and eventually obtaining magical soil. Then, relying on this soil, his cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds. Therefore, Yuan Zhixian believed that this space might contain the heaven-defying object mentioned by his father and the system mission. I wonder if the Divine Feather Saint Sun also came for the peerless treasures within this space? Yuan Zhixian then asked. With the emergence of a peerless treasure, all the major powers want a piece of the pie, and I am no exception. However, all the major dynasties and holy lands in the Tianlan realm have sent their experts, but my strength is too weak. If you could join me, I think we would definitely reap a great harvest this time. Shinyu Divine Sun said with a helpless expression. Oh, I forgot, young master, you've only recently entered the mortal realm and may not be very familiar with the situation in the Tianlan realm. The Tianlan realm is divided into 1 palace, 2 pavilions, 3 dynasties, and 4 lands. The palace is the Dragon Palace. The pavilions are the Myriad Demon Pavilion and the 8 Desolations Pavilion. The dynasties are the Taiwan Dynasty, the Great Xia Dynasty, and the Qin Dynasty. The lands are the Blood Slaughter Holy Land, the 4 Symbols Holy Land, the Great Wilderness Holy Land, and the Divine Feather Holy Land where I reside. All 4 holy sites have produced saints, and now the Dragon Palace has 6 quasi-saints. The 2 pavilions each have 4 quasi-saints, the 3 dynasties have 3 quasi-saints, and the 4 holy sites each have 2 quasi-saints. Yuan Zhixian was slightly taken aback when he heard about the more than 30 quasi-saints. There were actually more than 30 quasi-saints in the Tianlan realm. However, he quickly recovered. At the 4th level of the reincarnation realm, Yuan Zhixian was absolutely invincible against those below the sacred realm. His only worry was Yuan Ruochu and the others, since they had not yet advanced to the reincarnation realm. When Yuan Ruochu and her companions heard that there were more than 30 quasi-saints, they couldn't help but feel a chill run down their spines. Previously, the aura of just 1 quasi-saint beast in the canyon secret realm had already made them quite uncomfortable. Now there were more than 30. However, the thought of their divine son nearby made them feel somewhat better. Then Yuan Zhixian said, such a mysterious space and so many peerless treasures have also stirred our hearts. Divine Feather Saint, you are right, many hands make light work. Let us explore together this time. All right, with your participation, young master, we're sure to reap great rewards. Now all we lack is that young man to lead the way. He then said to Yuan Zhixian, leave that man's matter to me. It's getting late, so I won't disturb your rest any longer. He then said to the middle-aged man, Elder Feng, please take all the young masters and ladies to the VIP rooms to rest. The middle-aged man then respectfully led Yuan Zhixian and the others to the rooms. Night falls. Inside Yuan Zhixian's room, Yuan Ruochu and the other 3 stood in a row, looking at Yuan Zhixian in front of them with a puzzled expression. Divine child, what brings you here so late? Yuan Zhixian then said, I've decided, tonight we'll still go and take a look at that empty place. Without Lin Yan, such a fortunate person, to guide us, we could have gotten that far. After Yuan Zhixian finished speaking, the 4 of them replied, we will obey the Divine Sun's orders. There's no time to lose, let's set off immediately. With that, the 5 of them vanished from the room in a flash of light. In the northwest of the Tianlan realm lies a vast forest. Deep within the forest, a massive vortex gate, radiating blue light, spins incessantly. The Yen Kingdom's territory is located right next to this mysterious space. Thus, Yuan Zhixian quickly arrived before the Vortex Gate. Due to the many powerful figures who had perished within, it seemed to have become a forbidden area. There was not a single person outside the Vortex Gate. Divine Child, this should be it. Yuan Ruochu said, looking at the Vortex Gate before her. Yes, let's go in and take a look, Yuan Zhixian said immediately. The five of them then stepped through the Vortex Gate and entered that space. As soon as they entered, a dense surge of spiritual energy swept over them. Yuan Zhixian, sensing it, remarked, "It's actually an inner world. No wonder such a rich spiritual energy hasn't leaked out at all." Yuan Yenner asked, puzzled, "What is the inner world?" The so-called inner world is an independent world, outside the jurisdiction of the heavenly Tao. It may be naturally formed or created by some supreme powerhouses. For example, my clan's ancestral land is an inner world. And this inner world should have been naturally formed. Yuan Zhixian continued walking in, and the four of them followed closely behind. Soon, the five of them arrived at a peach grove, where pink peach petals fell gently in the breeze, a truly idyllic scene. Just then, the falling peach blossoms suddenly rose from the ground, emitting bursts of pink light, and shot towards Yuan Zhixian and his companions. Yuan Zhixian casually waved his hand, and a golden energy shield enveloped the five of them. The peach blossoms struck the energy shield, producing clanging sounds, demonstrating that the peach blossoms were quite powerful. As the peach blossom petals continued to strike Yuan Zhixian's energy shield, branches as thick as a person's waist began to sprout from the ground. The five people could only watch out for what was in front of them and had no choice but to split up and dodge. Yuan Zhixian flew straight into the void, standing with his hands behind his back, a circular energy shield surrounding him, blocking the peach blossom petals and spreading branches that kept striking the shield. Ji Jingtian was also using his ethereal body to become ethereal, the peach blossom petals and branches passing directly through his ethereal body. Yuan Ruochu was also using the vortex of reincarnation space to continuously devour the peach blossom petals and branches. Yuan Zifeng's approach was much simpler and more direct. He immediately conjured a holy sword and began frantically hacking at the peach blossom petals and branches hurtling towards him. Meanwhile, four massive ice pillars rose up around Yuan Yenner, protecting her fiercely. However, as the number of peach blossom petals and spreading branches increased, so did the power of the petals and branches. Yuan Zifeng and Yuan Yenner were relatively weaker than the five people and were starting to struggle to withstand the attack. Then, Yuan Zhixian flashed to their side, grabbed them, and threw them into his energy shield. He then said to Yuan Ruochu and Ji Jingtian, "Leave here first." The five of them then dodged the peach petals and branches as they moved away from the area. Before they knew it, they had entered a swamp. Yuan Yenner, panting, said, "We're finally out of that place. We almost couldn't have held on if it weren't for the Divine Child. Should we rest a bit before continuing?" After surveying the surroundings, Yuan Zhixian immediately said, "Don't get distracted. I sense something's off about this place too." Just as they finished speaking, thunder suddenly rumbled in the sky, followed by thousands of lightning bolts filling the entire sky. The powerful and terrifying oppressive feeling caused even the four people, except for Yuan Zhixian, to frown. Boom! A bolt of lightning struck rapidly towards the group. The five of them quickly dodged. Then another bolt of lightning struck. Immediately, countless bolts of lightning poured down from the sky. Yuan Zhixian protected Yuan Zifeng and Yuan Yenner by activating his double pupils, creating a barrier of double pupil power that resisted the thousands of lightning bolts. Yuan Ruochu unleashed the Six Paths Reincarnation Fist, directly striking the myriad lightning bolts. Ji Jingtian also summoned the Void Refining Pot, continuously absorbing the myriad lightning bolts hurtling towards him. Then, two loud bangs and clangs were heard. Yuan Ruochu's Six Paths Reincarnation Fist was unable to withstand the terrifying lightning and was almost hit. On Ji Jingtian's side, the Emperor Weapon Void Refining Pot was directly knocked from the void into Ji Jingtian's hand by the lightning. The two were both surprised and terrified. Yuan Ruochu and Ji Jingtian were ranked 4th and 5th among the 3,000 physiques. Although they were currently only at the Dao body realm, they were absolutely capable of fighting against, or even killing, a reincarnation realm expert. They had already used their strongest moves, yet they still couldn't withstand the thousands of lightning bolts. They were terrified by the terrifying power of these thousands of lightning bolts. Boom! As Yuan Ruochu and Ji Jingtian's defenses failed, countless bolts of lightning struck them once more. Seeing the rapidly approaching lightning, the two prepared to use their maximum spiritual power to resist again. Just then, a figure appeared before them, then threw a punch into the sky. The countless bolts of lightning collided with this punch, unexpectedly erupting in a dazzling light. The figure then said to Yuan Ruochu and Ji Jingtian, "Brother Ruochu, Jingtian, stay close to me." Half an hour later, Yuan Zhixian and his 5 companions returned to the entrance of the Vortex Gate. Looking at the 4 people who were exhausted and drained of their spiritual energy, Yuan Zhixian said, "As expected, only those with great fortune like Lin Yan can freely come and go in this inner world." Divine Child, what exactly is this inner world? How can it be so terrifying? "If I enter that space alone, I might perish inside," Ji Jingtian then said. "Jingtian, if you go in alone, it's not just a matter of chance, it's certain you'll perish inside," Yuan Zhixian said. He then added, "I just scanned the area with my double pupils. We're only in the inner world, the core gathering place is still far away." But the power of each of those peach blossoms and tree branches was comparable to the full force attack of a 5th or 6th level reincarnation realm expert, and the lightning strikes afterward were almost equivalent to the full force attack of a peak reincarnation realm expert. Hiss, the 4 finally realized just how outrageous this inner world was. This was already so dangerous in the middle area, not even reaching the core region. The lightning was comparable to a full-force attack from a peak reincarnation realm expert. The danger in the core region must be equivalent to a full-force attack from a quasi-saint or even a saint. Luckily, the Divine Child was there. Otherwise, the 4 of them wouldn't even know how they died. They secretly vowed that upon returning, they would immediately go into seclusion to improve their cultivation and not always rely on the Divine Child for protection. Yuan Zhixian then added, "It seems this inner world is what we've been searching for. Fortunately, I have Zhao Zixuan as a trump card, and now it's time to bring it into play." Then he said to the 4 of them, "Let's go back first. Everyone should get some rest today." With that, he and the 4 of them returned to the Juyuan restaurant in Yan Country. A few days later, a young man arrived at the Juyuan restaurant. As soon as he entered, the waiter greeted him. "I wonder if you're here for a meal or to stay the night?" Then he repeated the same things he had said to Yuan Zhixian verbatim to the man. "I'm looking for someone. I wonder if this restaurant has 4 men and 1 woman, around my age, each with an extraordinary air about them, and the one in the lead seems like a celestial being." Yes, sir, are you their friend?" the waiter asked again. "That's right, I'm friends with them, and I need to speak with them about something important." "So you're a friend of that, sir?" "Sir, your friend is staying in the top-tier room. Would you like me to show you the way?" the waiter said obsequiously. "No need for you to trouble yourself, young man," he said, taking out a low-grade spirit stone. "Oh, thank you, sir. This way, please." The man followed the waiter upstairs, winding his way to the door of Yuan Zhixian's room. The waiter bowed and withdrew. The man was about to knock when a voice came from inside. "Since young Master Lin has arrived, please come in for a chat." After entering the room, Lin Yan said to Yuan Zhixian, "Young master, you certainly have a refined taste, visiting ancient sites and historical landmarks. But do you know that after you killed Huixing, my Lin family was wiped out? Oh, you're still alive. And I can see from your eyes that you're not saddened by the Lin family's destruction. On the contrary, you seem relieved," Yuan Zhixian said unhurriedly. Lin Yan was slightly surprised to hear this. Yuan Zhixian had seen through him so clearly. Seeing that Lin Yan remained silent, Yuan Zhixian continued, "Young Master Lin, you've come here to ask for my help to escape your current predicament, haven't you?" Lin Yan was finding Yuan Zhixian increasingly unfathomable. feeling that this man was terrifying, completely able to see through his thoughts and feelings. He then asked, "Then, what are your intentions, young master? I know a little about your affairs. Since only you can enter that mysterious space, how about we make a deal? I'll guarantee your safety and you take us into that space. What do you say?" Yuan Zhixian continued. "Although you are a descendant of a reclusive family, your cultivation level is still too low. The situation is urgent, and I have no choice in the matter. Rather than choosing you, I'd rather directly serve a quasi-saint. This way, not only will my safety be guaranteed, but I might even become a quasi-saint's disciple." "Oh, since that's what young Master Lin thinks, then I won't force you. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone about your whereabouts," Yuan Zhixian said magnanimously. "In that case, I thank you for your understanding, young master." Lin Yan desperately wanted to leave the room. The more upright and gentlemanly Yuan Zhixian appeared, the more uneasy Lin Yan felt. Without saying another word, he immediately left the room and quickly departed. As Yuan Zhixian watched Lin Yan leave, a slight smile appeared on her lips. A few more days passed, and one day a woman with a face covered by a silk scarf, a slender figure, and a curvaceous appearance appeared at the entrance of the Juyuan restaurant. Just like when Lin Yan came, she used the same words and was greeted by the same waiter. Then she went to the entrance of Yuan Zhixian. The woman took a deep breath, then gently knocked on Yuan Zhixian's door. Soon, Yuan Zhixian's exquisitely handsome face appeared before her. Looking at his face, the woman's delicate cheek, covered by a silk scarf, flushed slightly, and her heart pounded rapidly. She immediately said to Yuan Zhixian, "Young master, I've missed you dearly these past few days." Yuan Zhixian said, "So Zixuan has arrived. Please come in." Previously, Yuan Zhixian had called her Miss Zixuan, but now that he was calling her Zixuan, he couldn't help but feel secretly pleased. He then entered the room and found that Yuan Ruochu and the other three were also inside. He then said, "Did I come at the wrong time? What are you discussing?" Yuan Zhixian also said, it's all right, Zixuan, you're not an outsider, it's all right." When she heard Yuan Zhixian say that she was not an outsider, Zhao Zixuan felt that she must have been recognized by Yuan Zhixian, and she was overjoyed. Then Yuan Zhixian, without batting an eye, said, "Zixuan, I want to tell you something. We're about to return. Our original mission was to explore that mysterious space. Many powerful individuals who went in before perished. Later, we learned that only young Master Lin Yan could safely enter that space. I spoke to young Master Lin Yan about this, asking if he could take us in, but he probably felt we weren't worth his time and refused. So, this mission can be considered a failure." At this moment, Zhao Zixuan asked anxiously, "What will happen if we fail and go back? Will we be able to come out again?" Yuan Zhixian continued his nonsensical ramblings with a straight face. "I'm not entirely sure about the specifics. But one thing is for sure, if this mission fails, I might never leave this world again and will remain in the clan forever. Isn't there any other way?" Zhao Zixuan asked, her mind in turmoil. Seeing Zhao Zixuan's anxiety, Yuan Zhixian quickly seized the opportunity and said, "Yes, it depends on whether you're willing to help me, Zixuan." Upon hearing Yuan Zhixian's words, Zhao Zixuan immediately replied, "I am willing. No matter what the difficulties or challenges, I am willing to do anything for you, young master." The four people watching from the sidelines, completely bewildered, couldn't help but admire Yuan Zhixian. He had only met Zhao Zixuan twice, yet he had already made her fall head over heels for her divine son. Then Yuan Zhixian continued, "If Zixuan, you are willing to approach young Master Lin Yan, I think you should be able to complete this mission. Get close to him." "What do you mean, young master?" Zhao Zixuan then asked. "Make him fall in love with you. In that case, with your request, he should take us into that mysterious space out of respect for you. This way, not only can we complete our mission smoothly, but I also won't have to stay in the family forever, and I can see you, Zixuan, every day," Yuan Zhixian said without batting an eye. Zhao Zixuan, who was already worried about not seeing Yuan Zhixian again, replied without hesitation when she heard that she could see him every day. "As long as I can see you every day, as long as I can help you, Zixuan is willing to do anything. Then Yuan Zhixian gently tapped Zhao Zixuan's forehead with his finger and said, "Then I'll trouble you." Zhao Zixuan's face immediately flushed slightly and felt a little hot. She then gently stroked the forehead where Yuan Zhixian had just touched with his finger, unwilling to let go. Then Yuan Zhixian said to Zhao Zixuan, "You rushed here so quickly, you must not have eaten. You must be hungry. Yenner, tell the waiter to prepare a delicious meal. Let's eat together." Zhao Zixuan happily replied, "I'll listen to you, young master." Then Yuan Zhixian had a meal with Zhao Zixuan. During the meal, Yuan Zhixian frequently made Zhao Zixuan giggle, and Zhao Zixuan felt that this was the happiest moment of her life. Time passed quickly, and the meal ended. Zhao Zixuan reluctantly left the Juyuan restaurant, preparing to complete the task Yuan Zhixian had mentioned. After watching Zhao Zixuan walk away, Ji Jingtian said, "I used to think that the Divine Sun relied on his strength to ruthlessly suppress everything. Now I realize that the Divine Sun is actually quite good at flirting with girls." He won over Zhao Zixuan with just a few words. "You really can't argue with that." Yuan Yenner added, "That's right. Our divine child not only possesses extraordinary strength and background, but his looks are also unmatched. What girl wouldn't be moved by him, especially with this kind of tea? All right, now we just need to wait quietly for the result." Yuan Zhixian waved his hand to interrupt everyone. A few more days passed. Above the Juyuan restaurant stood two figures, a man and a woman. The man appeared to be in his 40s or 50s, while the woman was in her 30s, wearing a cheongsam, her figure curvaceous and still alluring. Both their faces were filled with murderous intent. The woman said to the man, "Brother Ping, is this the place?" The man glanced down at the Juyuan restaurant, his eyes blazing with killing intent, and said, "That's right, this is it. The person who killed Xinger lives here." The visitors were Hua Xing's parents. The man, Hua Ping, was one of the supreme elders of the Blood Slaughter Holy Land, a powerful cultivator at the 6th level of the reincarnation realm. The woman, Yi Man, was the younger sister of the emperor of the Taiwan dynasty, also at the 4th level of the reincarnation realm. The two, who had been in seclusion, emerged from their retreat upon learning of their son Hua Xing's murder. They then inquired about the situation and eventually discovered that the person who killed their son was at the Juyuan restaurant. Then, from the void, he spoke to the restaurant below, "You scoundrel, since you dared to kill my son, do you think you can get away with it by hiding here?" As he spoke, he unleashed an energy beam towards Yuan Zhixian's room window. The beam quickly penetrated the window and struck Yuan Zhixian's room, subsequently causing a massive explosion. Who dares to be so insolent? At this moment, 4 people flew out from the Juyuan restaurant. The leader was a first-level reincarnation realm expert, followed by 3 9th-level Dao body realm experts. These 4 were the managers of the Juyuan restaurant in Yen Kingdom. Seeing that someone dared to attack the Juyuan restaurant, they flew out to question them. "Who are you? Why are you causing trouble at my Juyuan without cause?" the leader of the 4 asked. Hua Ping then said, "I've come only to kill the man who murdered my child. As for the rest, get out of here, or don't blame me for unleashing a bloodbath. How dare you? Attack!" The 4 men flew towards Hua Ping, forming a square around him. They then rapidly unleashed a barrage of punches and kicks at Hua Ping and Amon. Hua Ping and Amon, relying on their physical strength, began to engage in hand-to-hand combat with the 4. However, given the difference in their cultivation levels, gradually, apart from the leader, the other 3 were also blasted to the ground by Hua Ping and Amon, creating a deep crater. The leader was also slammed to the ground with a punch after being surrounded by the 2. "Aren't you afraid that the powerful members of Gathering Fate will come after you later?" the leader said. "Purge? You've been protecting thieves like this, and you still want to purge?" Hua Ping said angrily. "Why is Ping saying so much? Just kill them, then go find the people who killed Xinger. I'm going to torture their souls with the sacred fire of the Supreme Emperor, making them wish they were dead." Iman said, his eyes filled with hatred. Then, Iman unleashed the supreme technique of the Supreme Emperor dynasty, the Supreme Emperor Sacred Fire Technique. Flames suddenly swirled around Amon, the intense heat vaporizing the clouds in the sky before being unleashed upon the four. Seeing this, the four hurriedly used their maximum spiritual power to form an energy shield to resist the scorching flames. However, the difference in strength was too great, and they were ultimately burned to ashes by the intense heat. Seeing that the obstruction had been eliminated, Ping and Amon walked into the Juyuan restaurant without saying a word. They went straight to the door of Yuan Zhixian's room. Ping immediately released an aura that shattered the door. Yuan Zhixian was sitting calmly drinking tea in the broken room, with Yuan Ruochu and the others standing directly behind him. Ping was slightly surprised to see Yuan Zhixian completely unharmed. His attack had clearly struck the room, and logically, even a Dao Body Realm expert should have been seriously injured if not killed. Yet Yuan Zhixian was completely unharmed and was leisurely drinking tea. Seeing the two resentful figures, Yuan Zhixian said calmly, "Not bad. One is at the 6th level of the reincarnation realm, and the other at the 4th level. They'd be quite suitable as sparring partners. Zifeng and Yenner, you two go give it a try." "Yes, young master." Ping and Amon were once again shocked to see the two men. They hadn't expected that Yuan Zhixian's two subordinates were actually at the 6th and 3rd levels of the Dao Body realm, and so young at that. Their killing intent intensified even further. Such prodigies had to be eliminated today, or the consequences would be dire. Then Yuan Zifeng faced off against Ping, and Yuan Yenner against Amon. The four fought from the room all the way into the void. As time went by, Yuan Zifeng and Yuan Yenner gradually began to be suppressed by Ping and Amon. Although both were unparalleled geniuses, capable of defeating enemies across realms, their strength was still far too different, spanning a whole major realm. In the end, they were no match for each other and were defeated. Seeing the defeated pair, Ping and Yi-Man prepared to press their advantage and eliminate Yuan Zifeng and Yuan Yenner. At this moment, Yuan Zhixian said to Yuan Ruochu and Ji Jingtian, "Brother Ruochu, Jingtian, finish them off." Yuan Zhixian was confident in the two. After all, they were forbidden prodigies. He then realized that Yuan Zifeng and Yuan Yenner's talents were still too lacking, and he needed to find a way to improve them. Ping and Amon, who were pressing their advantage, suddenly sensed two powerful auras appearing before them. They stopped and looked at the two men. One was at the 8th level of the Dao Body realm, and the other at the 6th level. However, their auras were much stronger than the two men they had just faced. A hint of seriousness appeared in their eyes. Yuan Ruochu and Ji Jingtian then said to Yuan Zifeng and Yuan Yenner, "Zifeng and Yenner, you two go down first. We'll take care of these two." Yuan Zifeng and Yuan Yenner nodded immediately. Yuan Ruochu then said to Ji Jingtian, "Jingtian, I'll take the man, and you can take the woman." Ji Jingtian retorted, "Why should I? Why should you take the man, and I take the woman? Why should I?" "Because I beat you up," Yuan Ruochu said proudly. "A hero doesn't dwell on past glories. How dare you, a guy whose cultivation has declined? Besides, do you think you can beat me now?" Ji Jingtian continued to retort. The two argued back and forth, completely forgetting that they had come to resolve the conflict between Ping and Amon. Yuan Zhixian covered his forehead with his hand and said, "These two are truly a pair of lovable frenemy." Ping and Amon, seeing the two arguing amongst themselves in front of them, were utterly disrespectful. Their anger escalated, and they shouted, "All this arguing will only lead to death. Die!" As he spoke, Ping headed straight for Ji Jingtian, then channeled his spiritual power into his hand. A burst of red light emanated from his hand as he shouted at Ji Jingtian, "Hellfire Blood Dragon." Immediately, a gigantic blood-red dragon appeared in the air, its gaping maw lunging towards Ji Jingtian. Ji Jingtian whispered, "Voidification." His body then began to transform into a barely visible, transparent form. The crimson dragon continuously darted back and forth within Ji Jingtian's ethereal body. Seeing that his move had no effect on Ji Jingtian, Ping formed hand seals and shouted, "9 kill blood dragons." The blood-red dragon spun continuously and then transformed into a huge blood-red sphere. The blood-red sphere flashed red light and immediately transformed into 9 blood-red dragons of the same size, which continued to dart around Ji Jingtian's ethereal body. Meanwhile, the battle on Yuan Ruochu's side was also extremely fierce. Iman, like a fire god descended to earth, was enveloped in scorching flames, engaging Yuan Ruochu in hand-to-hand combat. Although Yuan Ruochu's cultivation was lower than Iman's, as a forbidden prodigy, the 4th-ranked reincarnation body among the 3,000 physiques, she could not only defeat enemies of higher levels, but also fight across realms. At this moment, the hand-to-hand combat between Yuan Ruochu and Yimin was becoming increasingly fierce. Relying on her reincarnation body and the power of reincarnation from the Reincarnation Sutra, Yuan Ruochu gradually gained the upper hand. Seeing herself slowly falling behind and unable to defeat Yuan Ruochu, Yimin became increasingly anxious. Then, she suddenly surged her aura, and her entire body's spiritual power transformed into a giant firebird, shouting at Yuan Ruochu, "Fiery divine bird." The giant firebird, carrying scorching flames, flew towards Yuan Ruochu. Upon seeing this, Yuan Ruochu extended her right hand, and a giant purple ring appeared before her. She then calmly said, "6 paths of reincarnation, animal path." Countless strange beasts then emerged from the giant purple ring and charged towards the enormous firebird. The beasts relentlessly crashed into the firebird, creating explosions, and finally, through sheer numbers, they managed to obliterate the firebird. Seeing that his spells had no effect on Yuan Ruochu, Iman then mobilized his maximum spiritual power and shouted at Yuan Ruochu, "Supreme Emperor Sacred Fire Technique, blazing flames burn the heavens." Immediately, a huge, earth-shattering red flame appeared behind Iman, the flames churning violently like ocean waves, one after another pouring down on Yuan Ruochu. Seeing the towering flames like ocean waves, Yuan Ruochu immediately shouted, "6 paths of reincarnation fist." Then, 6 huge black holes emitting purple light appeared behind Yuan Ruochu. From one of the black holes, a giant arm emerged, its 5 fingers clenched into a fist, and it punched straight at the towering flames. A blinding flash erupted as the fist collided with the flames, and the enormous fire was instantly blasted away by the massive fist. The fist then continued its trajectory towards Iman. Meanwhile, on Ji Jingtian's side, Huaping's 9 blood-red dragons continued to relentlessly attack Ji Jingtian, whose body had become ethereal. They attempted to use their numerical advantage and the increasing time they could travel to strike him. Seeing his wife in danger, Huaping immediately controlled the 9 blood-red dragons, directing them towards Yuan Ruochu's 6 paths reincarnation fist in an attempt to defend against it. But how could Ji Jingtian let him have his way? Looking at the 9 blood-red dragons flying towards the giant fist, he said, "Void transformation." A huge black spatial rift appeared in front of the 9 blood-red dragons, and a huge black spatial rift also appeared behind Ji Jingtian. After the 9 blood-red dragons disappeared into the black spatial rift, they surprisingly emerged from the spatial rift behind Ji Jingtian. Ji Jingtian sneered at Huaping, saying, "Wanna help? Do you think I'm dead? Aren't you being incredibly naive?" Seeing that his 9 blood-red dragons had been neutralized by Ji Jingtian, Huaping panicked. Ignoring Ji Jingtian's words, he flew rapidly towards Iman. Ji Jingtian used the same trick again, creating a huge spatial rift in front of Huaping. Due to inertia, Huaping entered the spatial rift and then emerged from behind Ji Jingtian. Huaping, who emerged from behind Ji Jingtian, now had a contorted expression on his face. He said to Ji Jingtian, "I'll kill you." Then he charged towards Ji Jingtian. Seeing that Huaping couldn't help him, Iman felt a sudden, inexplicable despair. He couldn't understand why, despite his reincarnation realm cultivation, he was no match for someone in the Dao body realm. Watching the enormous fist draw ever closer, he cried out in despair to Huaping, "Brother Ping, remember to avenge me and the child." He was then struck by the 6 paths reincarnation fist, plummeting straight down from the sky. He crashed heavily into the ground, creating a deep crater, and died instantly. No. Huaping roared with heart-wrenching pain, his eyes bloodshot and his whole body trembling uncontrollably. He couldn't believe that his son had left him not long ago, and now his wife had died before his very eyes. Then, turning to Yuan Ruochu and Ji Jingtian, he said, "I want you dead. I want you dead." He then took out a red pill and put it in his mouth. His aura intensified, and his cultivation level gradually rose from the 6th rank of the reincarnation realm to the 7th, 8th, and then stopped at the 9th rank. Upon seeing the red pill, Yuan Zhixian was slightly surprised and said, The life-devouring saint pill. Yuan Zifeng, now standing behind Yuan Zhixian, asked with a puzzled look, "Divine child, what is the life-devouring saint pill?" Yuan Zhixian explained, "The life-devouring saint pill is a forbidden pill that can forcibly elevate the cultivation level of those below the saint realm at the cost of their lifespan. Moreover, the closer one is to the saint realm, the more lifespan is sacrificed. This forbidden pill only exists in the 9 heavens and 10 earths, and even then, it's prohibited. It's impossible for it to appear in the lower realms. Could it be?" Yuan Zhixian fell silent in the end, as something was amiss. Logically, if other beings from the 9 heavens and 10 earths descended to the mortal realm, he would surely have known. Therefore, Yuan Zhixian fell into deep thought. After consuming the life-devouring saint pill, Huaping's cultivation level not only surged, but his aura also became increasingly terrifying. Yuan Ruochu and Ji Jingtian, seeing Huaping already at the 9th level of the reincarnation realm, couldn't help but become solemn. Then, Huaping's entire body emitted a red light, and the surrounding spiritual energy transformed into a blood-red mist, which then swirled around Huaping's body. It then transformed into a gigantic blood-red dragon. The blood-red dragon coiled around Huaping's body, its form radiating a terrifying aura. Then a deafening dragon roar echoed throughout the heavens and earth, its gaze fixed intently on Ji Jingtian and Yuan Ruochu. The people of Yen Kingdom's capital city, seeing the enormous and terrifying dragon, fled the city en masse. After all, a full-force attack from a 9th-level reincarnation realm expert could absolutely destroy the city. Ji Jingtian and Yuan Ruochu watched the screams, shouts, and cries of despair as people scattered below. Ji Jingtian said to Huaping, "Be ***********************. Do you want to destroy this city, or do you want to slaughter all the innocent people here?" Huaping, his hair disheveled, radiating a terrifying aura, his eyes bloodshot, face contorted, roared madly, "My wife, my son are dead. I have nothing left. Do I care about the lives of the people in the city? You, and all of you will all be buried with my wife and son. Blood Dragon destroys the world." As he spoke, he waved his hand, controlling the enormous blood dragon to rush towards Yuan Ruochu and Ji Jingtian. Seeing the two flying towards them, they exchanged a glance before separating to dodge the dragon's attack. After they separated, Huaping then steered the crimson dragon towards Yuan Ruochu, who had killed his wife. Yuan Ruochu quickly dodged the dragon as well. Seeing this, Ji Jingtian used void transformation again, creating a massive spatial rift in front of the crimson dragon. The crimson dragon actually smashed through Ji Jingtian's spatial rift and continued towards Yuan Ruochu. Yuan Ruochu was also quite annoyed. Why was Huaping, controlling the crimson dragon, relentlessly chasing her? She cursed inwardly, "Ji Jingtian, you idiot. Are you out of your mind? Capture the leader first. Why are you attacking the dragon? Attack the person controlling it." At this moment, Ji Jingtian seemed to understand immediately. He extended his right hand towards Huaping and said, "Void exile." Then a huge purple space appeared behind Huaping. Inside the space, a purplish black hole spun continuously, and then suddenly emitted a terrifying suction force, trying to suck Huaping in. Huaping desperately tried to stabilize himself using his spiritual power at the limit of the 9th level of the reincarnation realm, but the suction force of the purplish black hole was too terrifying. Even though Huaping's cultivation level far exceeded that of Ji Jingtian, he still slowly approached the purplish black hole little by little. Then, Huaping's aura surged, and he shouted at the blood-red dragon split. In an instant, the blood-red dragon split into another identical blood-red dragon. This new dragon then flew towards Ji Jingtian. Seeing the crimson dragon flying towards him, Ji Jingtian had no choice but to abandon void exile and, like Yuan Ruochu, began to hide. Seeing the two constantly dodging, Huaping's spiritual power was also nearing its limit. Then a thought struck him, and he manipulated the crimson dragon towards the buildings and people inside the royal city. Yuan Ruochu and Ji Jingtian, seeing the ruined royal city and countless dead and wounded below, were filled with rage. They both felt they had to deal with the blood-red dragon, otherwise the city would be truly destroyed by Huaping's blood dragon annihilation. The two immediately unleashed their secret techniques. Yuan Ruochu's aura surged, and she channeled her spiritual power, shouting at the crimson dragon, 6 paths of reincarnation fist. 6 enormous black holes radiating purple light appeared behind her. From 2 of these black holes, 2 gigantic, clenched fists emerged. These fists were even more terrifying than before, causing the entire void to tremble. They then slammed towards the crimson dragon. At that moment, Ji Jingtian immediately summoned his imperial weapon, the Void Refining Pot. The imperial weapon's power caused the entire space to tremble violently. A terrifying aura filled the heavens and earth. Then, the Void Refining Pot emitted a terrifying void refining light towards the blood-red dragon. Seeing such terrifying magic and powerful imperial weapons, Huaping's hateful face immediately revealed a greedy look. He asked, "What level of magic and weapon is this? Who exactly are you?" Ji Jingtian looked at the country bumpkin like Huaping and said casually, "You are not qualified to know who we are. Disappear." 2 terrifyingly large, clenched fists and a terrifying, ethereal light simultaneously struck the 2 crimson dragons. After struggling for a while, the crimson dragons proved no match for the 2 men's magic and subsequently transformed into red starlight of spiritual energy that scattered across the heavens and earth. After shattering the crimson dragons, the enormous clenched fists and the ethereal light then headed towards Huaping. At this moment, Huaping looked at the 2 terrifying energies heading towards him, and a struggle arose in his heart. Then, he gritted his teeth and made hand seals. His body emitted a red mist, and then Huaping disappeared on the spot as the red mist grew larger. The huge clenched fist and the ethereal refining light also missed their target. Upon seeing this, Yuan Ruochu and Ji Jingtian dispelled the spell and went forward to investigate. When the red mist dissipated, Huaping had vanished without a trace, and even his aura had disappeared. The 2 then returned to Yuan Zhexian's side and bowed, saying, "Divine child, your subordinates are incompetent. He escaped." Yuan Zhexian immediately said, "It's nothing, just a clone. He must have used a secret technique at some cost. But this kind of technique feels very strange to me. It shouldn't exist in the lower realms, nor should it be the life-devouring Saint Pill. It seems there must be someone behind this person. Let's leave that aside for now. Brother Chu and Jing Tian, you should now have a better understanding of your own strength. Generally, someone around the 6th level of the reincarnation realm is no match for you, and a 9th level reincarnation realm expert is no match for you even if you join forces." Yuan Ruochu and Ji Jingtian also said, "That's right, divine child. We've gained some insights from this battle, and we've decided to go into seclusion afterward to increase our cultivation and strive to reach the reincarnation realm as soon as possible." Yuan Zhexian nodded in satisfaction at the 2 of them. Then he said to Yuan Zifeng and Yuan Yener, "After we return, I will find a way to improve your talents. Then, like them, you will remain in seclusion until you reach the reincarnation realm." Upon hearing that it could enhance their talents, Yuan Zifeng and Yuan Yener were overjoyed and said, "We will never let the divine child down." Then, Yuan Zhexian looked at the Juyuan restaurant, which was covered in sores, and said, "I wonder if this restaurant still has any good rooms. It's really tiring to be running around like this every day. Let's find a room to rest for a while." He then led the 4 of them to find a waiter to find them a room that was not damaged. In a secluded chamber within the blood-slaughter Holy Land, Ping, who had previously appeared to be in his 40s or 50s, now looked like a man in his 60s or 70s with a full head of white hair. He sat on the bed, coughing up blood incessantly. At that moment, a majestic voice rang out. I never imagined that even after taking the life-devouring saint pill, someone could still injure you like this, forcing you to use the blood mist escape technique I taught you. Don't you know that this technique costs 1/3 of your lifespan? Plus, with the life-devouring saint pill, you only have 200 or 300 years left to live. Did you encounter a quasi-saint level expert? A murderous glint flashed in Ping's eyes as he said, if it were a quasi-saint realm expert, do you think I could have come back? My wife and children are dead, and the person who killed them was only a teenager, with cultivation levels of only the 6th and 8th stages of the Dao body realm. What? A 6th or 8th level Dao body realm cultivator could kill your 4th level reincarnation realm wife. And even injure you like this after you took the life-devouring saint pill, the voice said in surprise. Tell me the whole story in detail, he then said. Ping recounted the entire process verbatim. The voice then became solemn. 6 paths reincarnation fist? Void refining pot. I didn't expect the Ji family's divine son and the Yuan clan's first-ranked disciple to have descended to the mortal realm. That means the Yuan clan's divine son is also in the mortal realm at this very moment. I never imagined that my celestial clan would encounter the Yuan clan again in this era. It seems I must report this matter to the elders. Ping also said, what Yuan clan? What Ji family? I've never heard of either of these families in the Tianlan realm. The voice then spoke solemnly, don't ask questions you shouldn't know. Focus on recovering. Remember what you promised us, after we take over the blood-slaughter Holy Land and capture that young man, you must allow my clan elder's soul to enter your body as a spirit and then go to that space. Ping, his eyes gleaming, said sharply, I'll add one more condition. I don't care about the Yuan clan or the Ji family. I only want the people who killed my wife and children dead. Otherwise, even if I die, I won't grant your wish. Then the voice, tinged with murderous intent, said, don't even think about challenging the authority of my clan. You know the consequences. You'll be begging for death. Then he added, we will inform the elders of your request. You should take good care of yourself. The voice then vanished. Ping, his face filled with murderous intent, said, just wait, I will tear you all to pieces to atone for my wife and children. At this moment, within an unknown and mysterious space, several voices echoed throughout. According to reports from below, the Yuan clan's divine child is currently likely in the Tianlan realm. The Yuan clan? The Yuan clan's divine child. But that mysterious Yuan clan, according to the ancient records of my celestial clan, our clan once vied with the Yuan clan for control of the Taiyuan heaven. However, our clan ultimately lost. I never expected that the current divine son of that clan would actually come here. Should we go and kill him? If we can kill the Yuan clan's divine son, I believe our clan's ancestor will definitely reward us. Don't make any moves for now. The Yuan clan is incredibly mysterious. Our ancestor once tried to deduce their origins, but was severely injured in the process, and his condition is unknown. Fourth brother, be careful what you say. How can we discuss matters concerning our ancestor? Now, we can only wait for the eldest brother to possess that person with his secret technique before making a decision. Then the space fell silent. In a forest filled with demonic beasts, Lin Yan was constantly slaying them, collecting their inner cores to use as a medicinal ingredient for cultivating spiritual herbs. He had been there for over 10 days, killing countless demonic beasts of all sizes. Recently, he had his eye on a 9th-level cave heaven realm demonic beast. If he could kill it and obtain its inner core, he believed he could further enhance his strength. Just then, his expression flashed, and he asked, who is it? A woman with a slender, curvaceous figure emerged from the woods. She was exceptionally beautiful and possessed an aloof air. It was Zhao Zixuan. Upon seeing him, she said, Lin Yan, it's me, Zhao Zixuan. Upon seeing Zhao Zixuan, Lin Yan's expression was a mixture of emotions, regret, hatred, and a hint of confusion. He then said, haven't you made me suffer enough? What are you doing here? Zhao Zixuan then said, Lin Yan, I know you're still blaming me for what happened to the Lin family, but this wasn't my intention. I didn't know it would turn out this way. Looking at Lin Yan's expressionless face, she continued, we are engaged, but we've only met a few times. There's no affection between us, and now you want me to marry you with just a piece of paper? In exchange, are you willing? Lin Yan, his face still expressionless, said, things have come to this. The marriage certificate has been burned. There's no point in talking about it now. We're even. You can leave. Zhao Zixuan then continued, now that the Lin family has been wiped out, I know you're the only one left. After all, our two families have always had a good relationship. Because of a marriage contract, your Lin family was exterminated, and I feel extremely guilty. So I can't bear to see you alone and want to stay by your side, both to atone for my sins and to try to get to know you again. You like Huixing, even though he's dead, Lin Yan asked tentatively. I never imagined Huixing would be that kind of person. If I had known, I would have preferred to marry you rather than associate with such a disgusting person, Zhao Zixuan replied. Then he continued, furthermore, all sides are looking for you. I have a sect communication stone. If they know your whereabouts, they will definitely send a message. Don't worry, I won't tell the sect anything about your location. On the contrary, I will inform you of the sect's news in advance. You can make plans accordingly. Why did you do this? Lin Yan asked, puzzled. It's simple. After all, this whole thing started because of me, and all I want is for you to live. I don't want the last member of the Lin family to perish, Zhao Zixuan said earnestly. You're being so kind. You don't have ulterior motives, do you? Lin Yan said, still disbelieving. Believe it or not, time will tell, Zhao Zixuan said earnestly. Lin Yan, still wary, said, it's up to you. Anyway, I'm just a worthless person now, living a life of hardship, unlike a rich young lady like you. If you want to come along, then come along. In the following days, Zhao Zixuan followed Lin Yan, hunting monsters in the monster forest. During this time, Lin Yan didn't see anyone chasing him, and he began to believe Zhao Zixuan's words, gradually lowering his guard. More than 10 days passed quickly. During this time, Zhao Zixuan took care of Lin Yan's daily life. Every time Lin Yan killed a monster, Zhao Zixuan would process and cook it into delicious food. It has to be said that Zhao Zixuan's cooking was really delicious, and Lin Yan had even gained a few pounds during this period. At night, Zhao Zixuan would often help Lin Yan cover himself with a blanket, showing her meticulous care. As they spent more and more time together each day, Lin Yan gradually grew accustomed to Zhao Zixuan's presence and his attitude towards her improved. After all, no one had been so attentive to Lin Yan since his grandfather and parents passed away. That day, Lin Yan finally found the 9th-level cave heaven realm demonic beast. He then said to Zhao Zixuan, Zixuan, wait for me here. This demonic beast is extremely ferocious. I'm afraid you'll get hurt. Zhao Zixuan feigned concern, asking, are you sure you can manage alone? If it's too dangerous, you should give up. After all, it's a 9th-level cave heaven realm demon beast. Lin Yan smiled confidently and said, don't worry, I'll be fine. Lin Yan then began to fight the ferocious beast. By constantly consuming the spiritual pills and herbs he had grown, Lin Yan, who was at the 1st level of the cave heaven realm, was able to fight the ferocious beast, which was at the 9th level of the cave heaven realm, to a standstill. However, demonic beasts are far stronger than human bodies, and before he knew it, a demonic beast's tail slapped Lin Yan across the back, the powerful force causing him to cough up blood instantly. Then, the beast lashed out with its tail again. Fearing that Lin Yan would be killed by this powerful beast and she wouldn't be able to complete the task Yuan Zhixian had entrusted to her, Zhao Zixuan quickly arrived in front of Lin Yan and summoned her treasure. A red umbrella with runes appeared before her. This item was given to Zhao Zixuan by her master, an elder of the Xianlin sect. It can withstand an attack from a powerhouse below the 9th level of the cave heaven realm. As the red umbrella-bearing runes appeared before Zhao Zixuan, it emitted a red light that firmly blocked the monster's tail. Zixuan, get out of the way. You're no match for this monster, Lin Yan said anxiously. Zhao Zixuan pretended not to hear, using all her spiritual power to desperately block the attack from the demonic beast's tail. Then, with a crack, the red umbrella was cleaved in two by the beast's tail, striking Zhao Zixuan. Zhao Zixuan's cultivation was still too low, having just advanced to the blood-refining realm. Although some treasures blocked most of the power, the remaining force directly knocked her unconscious, leaving a bloody gash on her arm. Zixuan. Seeing the unconscious Zhao Zixuan, Lin Yan's eyes were also bloodshot. He then took out 2 spirit pills and put them into his mouth. Immediately afterward, Lin Yan's aura intensified. He then thrust his spirit sword directly into the heart of the demon beast. The demon beast let out a painful cry and collapsed to the ground, lifeless. Lin Yan then limped over to Zhao Zixuan, gently helped her up, and fed her a pill. Soon after, Zhao Zixuan slowly regained consciousness. Looking at Lin Yan, she immediately asked, "Are you all right? How are your injuries? How is the demon beast?" Seeing Zhao Zixuan's concern for him as soon as he woke up, Lin Yan felt a warmth in his heart. Apart from his parents and grandfather, no one had ever risked their life to protect him like this. At this moment, Lin Yan gradually developed feelings for Zhao Zixuan. Lin Yan then said, "I've already killed the demonic beast." Zhao Zixuan was also surprised. She had already been wondering about Lin Yan's fighting with the demonic beast. How could Lin Yan, who was only at the body-tempering realm, fight a demonic beast at the cave heaven realm to a standstill? Looking at the beautiful woman before him with a questioning gaze, Lin Yan said, "I'm sorry, Zixuan. I had no choice but to conceal my cultivation level before. But from today onwards, I will no longer hide anything from you." Hearing Lin Yan say this, Zhao Zixuan smiled inwardly. Fortunately, her efforts over the past few days had not been in vain. Lin Yan must have developed feelings for her now, which would allow her to complete the task assigned by Yuan Zhixian more quickly. Zhao Zixuan smiled understandingly and said, "It's all right. Everyone has their own secrets, and I won't hide anything from you from now on either." Seeing Lin Yan's response made her very happy. The happiest thing in life is when the person you like also likes you. Another 10 days or so passed, and by this time Lin Yan had completely fallen in love with the beauty before him. Zhao Zixuan continued to take meticulous care of Lin Yan, making him very dependent on her. That day, the two finally discovered a clear lake in the monster forest. Having been in the monster forest for a month, Zhao Zixuan couldn't wait to take a relaxing bath. She then told Lin Yan, "Don't peek," and found a secluded corner to begin her bath. Lin Yan was also feeling restless, his heart burning with desire as he thought of the beauty in the lake. Then he remembered that the two of them had already confessed their feelings, and Zhao Zixuan would be sooner or later. He decided to suppress his desire and immediately sat cross-legged. After taking a shower, Zhao Zixuan got up wearing a white silk dress. Her curvaceous figure and a pair of fair legs were exposed, and water droplets spread down her smooth skin. The low neckline made her breasts appear and disappear. Lin Yan swallowed hard. Then he went to Zhao Zixuan and said, "Zixuan, take this medicine and I'll apply some more medicine to it. Your injury should be mostly healed by then." As he spoke, he took out a pill and fed it to Zhao Zixuan's mouth. Then he gently lifted Zhao Zixuan's arm and applied some spiritual medicine to it. As the beauty drew closer, emanating a fragrant scent, Lin Yan's eyes became glazed. He then pressed Zhao Zixuan down. A flicker of disgust crossed Zhao Zixuan's eyes, but it vanished in an instant, quickly disappearing. Seeing Lin Yan burning with lust, Zhao Zixuan immediately pushed him away. Lin Yan looked at Zhao Zixuan, puzzled. Then, Zhao Zixuan said seriously, "Lin Yan, I have something to tell you." Lin Yan, his face also flushed, asked in confusion, "What's wrong? Why are you so serious?" "Lin Yan, you may not know this, but I actually possess the Xian Yincha body," Zhao Zixuan then said. "Mysterious Yin body? What kind of physique is that?" Lin Yan continued to ask, puzzled. The Xian Yincha body is an extremely cold constitution, suffering daily from the invasion of cold poison. The pain is indescribable. "What?" Lin Yan exclaimed in surprise. Zhao Zixuan continued, this constitution not only suffers from daily exposure to cold poison, but most importantly, this constitution means this person won't live past 20. Upon hearing that Zhao Zixuan wouldn't live past 20, Lin Yan became anxious and immediately asked, what can we do? Is there any way to avert this? Zixuan, don't worry, no matter what, even if it means going through fire and water, I'll be fearless for you. Seeing Lin Yan's serious expression, Zhao Zixuan said, there is a way to save him. Moreover, I have eliminated the cold poison of the Xian Yincha body and cured the curse that prevents the Xian Yincha body from living past 20 years old. Hearing that Zhao Zixuan had resolved the Xian Yin body issue, he immediately breathed a sigh of relief, then asked curiously, Zixuan, how did you completely cure this Xian Yin body? It was young Master Yuan who cured me completely, and he did so without any conditions whatsoever, Zhao Zixuan then said. Young Master Yuan? Lin Yan asked, puzzled, because he did not know Yuan Zhixian's name. It's that young Master Yuan from the reclusive family, Zhao Zixuan said with a smile. So it was him. He really didn't ask anything of you? Lin Yan asked, still somewhat doubtful. When young Master Yuan heard that I possessed the profound Yin body, he couldn't bear to see me perish before the age of 20, and later cured me with the Extreme Young Sacred Pill. The Extreme Young Sacred Pill, it's actually a sacred pill. As expected of a reclusive family, they can produce such precious pills with just a few words. Lin Yan said enviously. Zhao Zixuan then added fuel to the fire, saying, actually, many of you have misunderstood young Master Yuan. He comes from a reclusive family, so naturally he has no shortage of cultivation techniques and elixirs. His appearance in the world now is simply a genuine travelogue. Hearing about the appearance of a mysterious space, he just wanted to broaden his horizons. After all, he's always been within his family since birth, and he's quite a pitiful person. This is his first time in the world, so it's understandable that he's curious. Upon hearing Zhao Zixuan's words, and considering that Yuan Zhixian had previously assured him that she wouldn't reveal his whereabouts to anyone, and given that he and Zhao Zixuan were now living peacefully and comfortably in the Demon Beast Forest, Lin Yan's hostility towards Yuan Zhixian lessened considerably. Then, turning to Zhao Zixuan, he asked, Zixuan, what do you think of that young Master Yuan? Zhao Zixuan immediately understood Lin Yan's meaning and said, I only feel gratitude for saving young Master Yuan's life. I have absolutely no feelings for him. My heart is already with you. Hearing Zhao Zixuan say this, Lin Yan was very happy and immediately said, young Master Yuan saved you without asking for anything in return, so we should thank him properly. He invited me to explore the mysterious space before, but I thought he had ulterior motives. It seems I was judging him by my own petty standards. How about this, after we leave the Demon Beast Forest, we'll go find young Master Yuan. I want to thank him in person, and I'll even take him into that space with me. Seeing that the matter of Yuan Zhixian was almost finished, Zhao Zixuan was very happy. She excitedly gave Lin Yan a kiss on the cheek, then recovered and said, although my Xian Yincha body has been completely cured, it still needs time to recover. It's not too late to give it to you when it's fully healed. Lin Yan, still basking in the afterglow of Zhao Zixuan's kiss, touched his face and replied dreamily, it's all right, I can still resist. He. After spending another 3 days in the monster forest, Lin Yan and Zhao Zixuan finally emerged. Lin Yan felt that this trip to the monster forest had been incredibly fruitful. He felt he had not only gained many monster cores, but also found love. He then fulfilled his promise to Zhao Zixuan and quickly led her towards the Juyuan restaurant. At this time, the Juyuan restaurant, after being destroyed by Huaping, had been completely restored. One has to admire the speed of cultivators. In just a few dozen days, Juyuan was restored to its original state. At this moment, Yuan Zhixian was also in the room, quietly waiting for news from Zhao Zixuan along with Yuan Ruochu and the other two standing behind him. At this moment, Yuan Ruochu said, it's been almost 50 days since the divine child was born, and there's still no news. Do you really think Zhao Zixuan will help us outsmart Lin Yan? While sipping his tea, Yuan Zhixian smiled and said, Brother Ruochu seems to have no confidence in me at all. And please remove the word seems. Zhao Zixuan is definitely the one who will help me seduce Lin Yan. A woman's eyes don't lie. Zhao Zixuan is already infatuated with me. So I still have that much confidence. Hearing Yuan Zhixian say this, he stopped talking and quietly waited with Yuan Zhixian for news from Zhao Zixuan. Just then, a voice came from the doorway of Yuan Zhixian's room. Young master, may I come in? Yuan Zhixian said calmly, please come in. The visitor was none other than the Divine Feather Saint's son. Since returning last time, the Divine Feather Saint's son had informed the sect about Yuan Zhixian. The sect was quite shocked to hear that he was a descendant of a reclusive family. Then, news spread that this descendant's subordinate had actually severely injured a reincarnation realm expert. Immediately, the sect sent the Divine Feather Saint's son and the Supreme Elder of the Divine Feather Sect to invite Yuan Zhixian to the Divine Feather Holy Land as a guest. After entering the room, the Divine Feather Saint's son said to Yuan Zhixian, Young master, I have informed the sect about your matter. The Holy Master and Elders take it very seriously, so they sent me and the Supreme Elder to invite you to our Divine Feather Holy Land. I wonder if you would do me the honor of accepting. After looking at the Divine Feather Saint, Yuan Zhixian asked, When do we depart? The Divine Feather Saint immediately said, We can depart immediately. Please wait a moment, young master. We will go find a flying beast to fetch you to the Divine Feather Holy Land. The Divine Feather Saint had not expected that Yuan Zhixian would agree so readily, so he did not prepare a flying beast. He and the Supreme Elder then left the room to search for a flying beast. Watching the two leave the room, Yuan Yener asked, puzzled, why would the Divine Child condescend to go to that small holy land? Yuan Zhixian then said, 31 quasi-saint level experts are nothing to me, but I'm afraid they might take advantage of my unpreparedness and attack you from behind. The purpose of our trip to the Divine Feather Holy Land is simple, to subdue this holy land, thus increasing your protection. Moreover, I sense that the inner world we enter is definitely not simple. Therefore, I need some quasi-saint level experts to secretly protect you. Seeing how much Yuan Zhixian cared for them, the four were immediately moved. They realized that their cultivation was too low and they had held Yuan Zhixian back. They also became even more determined to return to seclusion. The five then left the room and arrived at the entrance of the Juyuan Hotel. At that moment, in the center of the hotel's plaza, a gigantic, bird-like demonic beast sat. A large pavilion sat atop its back. The Divine Feather Saint and the Divine Feather Elder stood beside the beast, waiting for Yuan Zhixian. Upon seeing Yuan Zhixian and his companions arrive, they immediately said, Young master, this demonic beast is the finest flying creature. Please, young master, take a seat in the pavilion. Yuan Zhixian then led the five directly to the soft reclining chairs inside the pavilion, where they sat down. Yuan Ruochu and the other three also sat down beside them. The Divine Feather Saint and the Divine Feather Elder then flashed to the pavilion on the beast's back and said, Let's go. With a soft bird call, the flying beast immediately flapped its wings and set off towards the Divine Feather Holy Land. The Divine Feather Holy Land is located among the top 10 powers in the Tianlan realm, and its territory is quite vast. After about half a month, Yuan Zhixian and his group entered the territory of the Divine Feather Holy Land. The Holy Son of Divine Feather immediately introduced himself to Yuan Zhixian. Young master, our Divine Feather Holy Land currently has hundreds of thousands of outer disciples, 1,000 inner disciples, over 20 core disciples, and myself, the Holy Son. Only those with the cultivation of the Cave Heaven realm can serve as outer sect elders, those with the Divine Power realm as inner sect elders, and core elders are Tao Body realm experts. As for reincarnation realm experts, they are the foundation of our holy land. Every one of them is a supreme elder. Upon hearing the introduction from the Divine Feather Saint, Yuan Zhixian nodded with a slight smile, while Yuan Ruochu and the others immediately curled their lip in disdain. Before long, they arrived at the main gate of the Divine Feather Holy Land. On an old plaque, the 4 golden characters, Divine Feather Holy Land, stood out prominently. The Divine Feather Saint then led Yuan Zhixian and the others towards the Divine Feather Main Hall. Along the way, disciples continuously bowed and saluted the Divine Feather Saint, who returned their greetings in return. Seeing this, Yuan Zhixian said, "It seems you are quite popular in this holy land." The Divine Feather Saint's son smiled and said, "I usually treat these disciples very well, so they respect me as their saint son." He then added, "Young master, we have arrived at the main hall. Please." He then led Yuan Zhixian into the Divine Feather Hall. Several powerful figures were already waiting in the Divine Feather Hall. Leading them was an old man, his body withered, slightly hunched, and clearly lacking in vital energy. He seemed as if he could die at any moment. However, the old man exuded a terrifying aura, and everyone in the hall looked at him with awe. Beside him was a middle-aged man at the 8th level of the reincarnation realm, his deep eyes revealing a serious expression. The left and right sides of the hall were filled with reincarnation realm experts. At this moment, after Shen Saint Sun and Yuan Zhixian arrived at the main hall, Shen Saint Sun bowed upon seeing the old man and the middle-aged man, saying, "Greetings, Ancestor. Greetings, Holy Lord." Ancestor Shen then said, "Holy Son, you may dispense with the formalities." Then, a supreme elder at the reincarnation realm, seeing that Yuan Zhixian and the others remained unmoved, immediately said, "Young master, although you are a descendant of a reclusive family, in this world where the strong are respected, it is rather inappropriate not to pay respects to a quasi-saint." After the supreme elder finished speaking, Yuan Zhixian looked at him indifferently. In this world, apart from a few people he respected most, no one else, not even the Heavenly King himself, could make Yuan Zhixian bow. But Yuan Ruochu and the others wouldn't stand for it. What kind of status did the Divine Child have that he was worthy of their respect? They immediately said, "You're just a quasi-saint. How dare you? Even a saint king, wouldn't dare make our young master bow. What are you, daring to make our young master bow?" As she spoke, Yuan Ruochu's aura surged as she charged towards the Supreme Elder. The Supreme Elder, a 5th-level reincarnation realm expert, immediately unleashed his own aura to counter Yuan Ruochu's approaching aura. However, he was forced to retreat repeatedly by Yuan Ruochu's powerful presence in a single exchange. He then exclaimed in surprise, "A 6th-level Dao body realm expert with such an aura. Even I can't withstand it." Seeing this, Ancestor Shen said to the Supreme Elder, "It's all right, it's all right. The reason we invited you here, young master, is to discuss entering that mysterious space. What are your thoughts, young master?" Upon hearing the words of the Divine Feather Ancestor, Yuan Zhixian calmly replied, "An idea? I do indeed have an idea. I want your Divine Feather Holy Land to submit to me." "What? How dare you? How presumptuous!" Not only the Divine Feather Saint Master, but also the Supreme Elders were furious, wishing they could tear Yuan Zhixian and the other 4 apart immediately. The Divine Feather Ancestor said, "I honor you as a distinguished guest and have come to discuss important matters, yet you respond with such a jest. Aren't you afraid you won't leave this house alive? Oh, do you think I'm joking? Or are you planning to attack us?" Yuan Zhixian said with a light laugh. "Since you show no sincerity, then I request that you leave. Holy Son, see them out." Elder Shen, mindful of the power of the hidden families, refrained from making a move and immediately dismissed them. Ancestor, this Divine Feather Divine Son was also somewhat troubled. "Can't you understand what I'm saying?" "I'm telling you to send them out," said Ancestor Shen angrily. Yuan Zhixian, however, maintained a faint smile and said, "I told you, I've come today to make you submit to me." "Do you really think we're easy to bully?" said the Divine Feather Ancestor, unleashing his quasi-saint aura as he charged towards Yuan Zhixian. Upon seeing the terrifying aura of the Divine Feather Ancestor, Yuan Zhixian opened his double pupils, releasing an aura even more terrifying than that of the Divine Feather Ancestor. After the 2 terrifying auras collided, Yuan Zhixian remained motionless, while Shenyu Laozu let out a muffled groan, already injured. What? Even the Divine Feather Ancestor couldn't believe that Yuan Zhixian, despite only being at the reincarnation realm, could injure him with just his aura. He was then greatly shocked upon seeing Yuan Zhixian's double pupils. He exclaimed, "Who are you? Your strength is so immense. You are definitely not from a hidden family. While hidden families may be powerful, they could never have someone as extraordinary as you. Moreover, you possess double pupils. The birth of double pupils is surely a blessing from heaven, a sign of good fortune. Such a thing has never happened before in the Tianlan realm." Yuan Zhixian then said, "I am indeed not from a reclusive family." The Divine Feather Ancestor then asked, "Then who exactly are you?" "I am from the upper realm," Yuan Zhixian said calmly. Upon hearing this, everyone stared wide-eyed in shock at Yuan Zhixian. They never imagined that Yuan Zhixian and his companions were actually from the upper realm. The upper realm was their life's goal, and now several living beings from the upper realm were standing right in front of them, which they could hardly believe. Upon seeing the crowd's initial shock, Yuan Ruochu dropped another bombshell. "My young master is the divine son of the forbidden Yuan clan." At this moment, apart from the Divine Feather Ancestor who was gaping open, no one else understood what these words meant. Then Ancestor Shinyu explained, "According to the ancient records of my sacred land, the powers in the upper realm are divided into sacred lands, sacred dynasties, immortal sacred lands, immortal sacred dynasties, imperial dynasties, imperial clans, and also forbidden powers. Only the current successors of powers at the immortal level or above in the upper realm are qualified to be called divine sons. As for forbidden powers, they are simply described as above all living beings." Upon hearing this, everyone gaped and stared wide-eyed. This time, when they looked at Yuan Zhixian, their eyes were filled with awe and fear. Even the Divine Feather Ancestor had no choice but to believe Yuan Zhixian and Yuan Ruochu's words. After all, there was no way such a person could appear in the Tianlan realm. Moreover, the Divine Feather Ancestor could sense that it would be extremely easy for Yuan Zhixian to kill him. At this moment, the Divine Feather Ancestor had already relinquished his status as a quasi-sage and immediately bowed to Yuan Zhixian, saying, "We were unaware of the Divine Son's noble status and spoke presumptuously. Please forgive us, Divine Son." Yuan Zhixian smiled and said, "Ignorance is no excuse, but your vital energy is depleted, and your lifespan is probably nearing its end. If you don't break through to the Saint Realm now, you'll likely pass away in just a few decades." The Divine Feather Ancestor helplessly said to Yuan Zhixian, "The Divine Son's words are indeed true." Then, with a wave of his hand, Yuan Zhixian produced a green pill that appeared before Ancestor Shinyu. This pill radiated an astonishing life force. "What is this?" Sensing such astonishing life force, Ancestor Shinyu asked in shock. "This is the essence-transforming Qi Saint pill. It has the effect of replenishing life essence for those below the Saint Realm, and one pill can increase lifespan by 400 years. The lifespan of a quasi-saint is only a little over 2,000 years. This ability to increase lifespan by 400 years at once is absolutely fatally attractive to quasi-saints whose lifespan is nearing its end." Then, Yuan Zhixian waved his hand, and 6 yellow pills appeared next to the essence refining Saint pill. He then addressed the crowd, saying, "These are 9 refined returning to origin Saint pills, which can help those at the 9th level of the reincarnation realm break through to the quasi-saint realm." Then the 7 sacred pills floated towards Ancestor Shinyu and the 6 supreme elders of the 9th level of the reincarnation realm. "This is, for us," the 7 exclaimed excitedly. "That's right, this is my sincerity." "Now it's up to you all to show your sincerity," said Yuan Zhixian. Then, the Divine Feather Ancestor immediately led the Divine Feather Saint Lord and a group of supreme elders to kneel down, prostrate themselves on the ground, and said, "We swear to obey the Divine Son's orders to the death from now on. If we disobey, we will be destroyed in both body and spirit. This is a heavenly oath. If the oath is not kept after it is established, heaven will send down divine punishment, causing the violator to be destroyed in both body and spirit." He then looked at everyone with satisfaction and gestured for them to rise. Yuan Zhixian walked directly to the main seat and sat down, then addressed the group. "In the lower realm, you call me young master. As for the person who can enter the mysterious space, You don't need to search for him anymore. He will lead us in. The 7 of you should focus on refining the sacred pills in seclusion and await my instructions. When the time is right, we will enter the mysterious space. We will obey the divine child's command, the crowd replied, bowing respectfully. After finishing this matter, Yuan Zhixian and Yuan Ruochu immediately returned to the Juyuan restaurant to wait for Zhao Zixuan's arrival. After Yuan Zhixian left, the holy son of Divine Feather, having nothing to do, drank and reveled with his core disciples. During this time, several core disciples asked the holy son of Divine Feather questions. Who is that important figure, the holy son? Yes, your highness, please tell us about it. That's right, holy son, please satisfy our curiosity. The holy son of Divine Feather, his face flushed from drinking, said, I cannot tell you who this important figure is. However, there is one thing I can tell you. What is it, holy son? Everyone asked curiously. Soon, the supreme elders and holy lords of my holy land who are above the reincarnation realm will go to that mysterious space, Divine Feather Holy Son replied. A mysterious space? I've heard that countless powerful figures have perished here. What are the Holy Lord and the Ancestor thinking? One of the core disciples said. Yes, I heard that only one person went in and came out safely. Now that person is wanted by the entire Tianlong realm. Everyone wants to capture him and make him lead these people into that mysterious space, another core disciple immediately added. You don't know this, but a certain lord has already resolved this matter. That person promised to take you into that mysterious space and will also bring the Ancestor and the Holy Lord along, the Divine Feather Holy Son said drunkenly. Then, Holy Son, when will that great one go to that mysterious space? The core disciple asked again. At that time I'll. Ugh. With that, the Divine Feather Saint Child vomited and then collapsed drunk on the table. One of the core disciples, his face gloomy, muttered to himself, that person agreed to go into that mysterious space. Then he heard another core disciple say to him, Go Shuang, what are you daydreaming about? Come on, drink. After the banquet, Go Shuang cautiously returned to his room, glancing left and right as he closed the door. He then went to his bedroom, took out a communication stone, and with a flick of his spiritual energy, a voice came from the other end. What brings you to summon me? Go Shuang immediately said, My lord, I have something important to report to you. Huh? What is it? The voice asked, puzzled. It's like this. Today I was drinking with the Holy Son of Divine Feather, and he, after having a few drinks, revealed some information, saying that a very important figure would be leading the Divine Feather Ancestor, the Divine Feather Holy Lord, and a group of supreme elders to that mysterious space. Then the voice said disdainfully, Apart from that young man, everyone who went in perished here. The likes of them? They'd all perish anyway. Ancestor Shenyu has gone senile. Is he trying to annihilate the entire Shenyu Holy Land? That's fine. Then my Dragon Palace can take over the Shenyu Holy Land's territory without lifting a finger. Go Shuang then said, But sir, that young man you mentioned has already been won over by that important figure. He promised to take him, along with Ancestor Shenyu and Holy Lord Shenyu, to that mysterious place. Oh? Is that so? Who exactly is this important person you're talking about? The voice asked, also in shock. Go Shuang replied, I don't know either. The Holy Son of Divine Feather didn't reveal this person's identity, nor do I know how he persuaded Ancestor Divine Feather, the Holy Lord, and all the Supreme Elders. At this moment, the voice said, You did a good job. Continue to monitor them and immediately report any unusual activity to me. I will reward you handsomely later. Go Shuang immediately replied happily, Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Then, in the Dragon Palace's council hall, which was now filled with powerful figures, the Dragon Palace master immediately asked, What is it that the fifth elder has so urgently summoned us? The fifth elder of the Dragon Palace then added, According to our scouts, the Divine Feather Holy Land is preparing to send its entire force to that mysterious space. What? They've come out in full force? Are they trying to bring down the Divine Feather Holy Land? An elder said. The fifth elder then said, The young man who was allowed to enter has already agreed to take them in. What? At this moment, not only the elders, but even the Dragon Palace Master stood up, exclaiming in surprise. They let them find that person first? Was it coercion or bribery? Wu Taishang added, I don't know, but I've heard that a powerful figure is pulling the strings behind the scenes. A big shot? The fifth elder then asked, what should the palace master do now? The Dragon Palace Master pondered for a moment and said, the Divine Feather Holy Land has mobilized its entire forces this time, which will undoubtedly cause quite a stir and alert other forces. Moreover, there's a mysterious figure behind them that our Dragon Palace can't handle. Rather than that, it's better to inform other forces in advance. We can also exchange some resources for them. Upon hearing the Dragon Palace Master's words, everyone exclaimed, the Palace Master is wise. Then the Dragon Palace Master said, the 5 Grand Elders will now be in charge of traveling to the various powers. There's no time to lose. Let's depart now. As the Palace Master commands. The 5 bowed in response and then departed for their respective factions. Yuan Zhixian had just returned to the Juyuan restaurant and hadn't even had a chance to sit down when a waiter rushed in and said, young master, a young man and a young lady have been waiting for you for quite some time. Upon hearing this, Yuan Zhixian smiled slightly and said, it seems Zhao Zixuan has taken care of things. He then said to the waiter, go and invite those 2 in. A moment later, Lin Yan brought Zhao Zixuan to Yuan Zhixian's room. When Zhao Zixuan saw Yuan Zhixian again, she was very excited. She realized that it had been more than 50 days since she had last seen him, but she still maintained a cold and aloof expression. Upon seeing Lin Yan and Zhao Zixuan, Yuan Zhixian feigned ignorance and asked, what brings you 2 here? Lin Yan immediately smiled and cupped his hands in greeting, saying, young Master Yuan, we've come to thank you for healing Zixuan's Xian-yin body. Yuan Zhixian waved his hand and looked at Zhao Zixuan, saying, this is a trivial matter, not worth mentioning. Miss Zixuan is also my friend. I couldn't bear to see her suffer from such a constitution, and I didn't want to see her perish. So I helped her cure her Xian-yin body. You agree, right, Miss Zixuan? Yuan Zhixian emphasized the last few words and smiled at Zhao Zixuan. Looking at the captivating Yuan Zhixian with his enchanting smile, Zhao Zixuan blushed slightly, then softly said, that's right, Zixuan is also very grateful to young Master Yuan for saving my life. From now on, no matter what the matter, Zixuan will always be there for you without hesitation. Seeing Zhao Zixuan's words, Lin Yan turned to Yuan Zhixian and said, I didn't expect young Master Yuan to be so magnanimous. I was too petty before. Please accept my bow. As he prepared to bow, Yuan Zhixian gently waved his hand, providing a surge of power that helped Lin Yan up. He then said to Lin Yan, young Master Lin, there's no need for such formality. Meeting you is fate. It's also fortunate that Miss Zixuan didn't perish after meeting me. Good. What a wonderful encounter. It's fate. Young Master Yuan, we not only want to thank you in person for saving Zixuan, but we also want to take you into that mysterious space together, Lin Yan said happily. Upon hearing this, Yuan Zhixian replied, then I thank young Master Lin for his kindness. When shall we depart? I'd like to make my preparations. How about we rest tonight and set off again tomorrow at noon? Lin Yan then said. Okay, it's decided then. He then asked Yuan Zifeng to call the waiter and have him prepare 2 rooms for the 2 of them to rest. After the 2 left, Yuan Zhixian immediately took out a communication stone to send a message to Ancestor Shenyu, telling him to prepare to wait for him at the entrance of the mysterious space at noon the next day. Upon receiving Yuan Zhixian's message, Ancestor Shenyu immediately summoned all experts at the reincarnation realm and above to the Shenyu main hall. More than 20 people subsequently appeared in the hall, including Ancestor Shenyu and a quasi-saint realm ancestor. Combined with the 6-9 refined returning origin saint pills given by Yuan Zhixian earlier, the 6 9th-tier reincarnation realm experts had now advanced to the quasi-saint realm. With these 20-odd reincarnation realm experts, this force was now truly deserving of its title as the #1 power in the Tianlan realm. The high-ranking members of the Divine Feather Holy Land gathered in the Divine Feather Hall, and all the disciples of the Divine Feather Holy Land knew that the Divine Feather Holy Land was about to make a big move. Meanwhile, Go Shuang returned to his room and took out a communication stone to send to the fifth elder of the Dragon Palace. He then told the fifth elder of the Dragon Palace about the mysterious space that the Divine Feather Holy Land was going to visit the next day at noon. Then, the fifth elder of the Dragon Palace immediately informed the Dragon Palace Master of the matter. The Dragon Palace Master, who had received benefits from several forces, immediately relayed the news to the various forces. The Blood Slaughter Holy Land. The entire Blood Slaughter Holy Land has now undergone a complete upheaval. The former Blood Slaughter Holy Lord has mysteriously disappeared for unknown reasons. Subsequently, the two Blood Slaughter ancestors also inexplicably announced that they would go into seclusion and not emerge until they reached the Saint Realm. Then, two Quasi-Saint Realm experts suddenly arrived, claiming to be the senior brothers of the Blood Slaughter ancestors, and began to oversee the Blood Slaughter Holy Land. Huaping was also announced by these two newly arrived ancestors as the temporary Holy Lord. Upon receiving the message from the Dragon Palace Master, Huaping also felt that the person behind the Divine Feather Holy Land, as mentioned by the Dragon Palace Master, was most likely the one who killed his wife and children. He immediately went to the two newly arrived elders to discuss this matter. Once everything was settled, Huaping grinned maliciously. Soon, Xinger Manor, I'll be able to avenge you. In less than half a day, the entire Tianlan realm knew about it. Lin Yan was also puzzled when he found out, wondering why the whole Tianlan realm knew so quickly that they would be going to that mysterious space tomorrow at noon. He then went to Yuan Zhexian's room and asked, "Young Master Yuan, why did the entire Tianlan realm know about our trip to that mysterious space tomorrow in just half a day?" Yuan Zhexian was also puzzled. Why did the entire Tianlan realm know about it? However, he still needed to appease Lin Yan. Otherwise, if Lin Yan suddenly became unwell and refused to take him along, it would be truly frustrating. After pondering for a moment, Yuan Zhexian earnestly lied, "I spread the word. Please don't be offended, young Master Lin. I was only doing it for your own good." Lin Yan, also puzzled, asked, "What do you mean?" Yuan Zhexian continued his charade with a straight face. "When young Master Lin and Zixuan arrived here today, I sensed the auras of several Quasi-Saint Realm experts outside the Juyuan restaurant. Moreover, based on the cultivation techniques they used, I can determine that these Quasi-Saint Realm experts come from different factions." Lin Yan was shocked upon hearing Yuan Zhexian's words and exclaimed, "What? A Quasi-Saint Realm expert? That's right, they must have come with you. I was thinking about the dozens of Quasi-Saints in the entire Tianlan realm. A few popping up every now and then is too troublesome. So I simply had my men spread the word that we're going to that mysterious space tomorrow at noon. That way we can wipe them all out in one fell swoop. Besides, I'm friends with the Holy Son of the Divine Feather Holy Land, and he promised me that the Divine Feather Holy Land will come out in full force to help us." Yuan Ruochu and Ji Jingtian were also stunned, thinking to themselves, "When will the Divine Child let us spread the news? We're with the Divine Child all day long." Lin Yan looked at Yuan Zhexian, who was speaking with a serious expression, and asked with a hint of doubt, "Is that really true?" Then Yuan Zhexian added, "That's indeed true. Young Master Lin, think about it yourself. If it weren't to prevent you from being captured and to wipe them all out, why would I spread this news? Wouldn't it be better if we split the good stuff we get after we go in half? Why let the entire Tianlan realm know and then have everyone come and get a share? Right?" Lin Yan, seeing that Yuan Zhexian's words seemed to make sense, was now cleared up. He then said to Yuan Zhexian, "Young Master Yuan has gone to such great lengths, it would be truly impolite of me to question you." Yuan Zhexian also said, "It's all right. If young Master Lin doesn't blame me for acting on my own, how could I blame young Master Lin for being impolite?" Then Yuan Zhexian added, "With me here, they won't dare to cause trouble. Young Master Lin, please rest well today and get your energy ready to catch these rats tomorrow." Lin Yan then said, "All right, then young Master Yuan, please get some rest." He then left Yuan Zhexian's room. After watching Lin Yan leave, Yuan Ruachu and the other three asked, "Divine Child, was it really you who spread the word? I've been in my room all afternoon and haven't gone out. Could it have been Zifeng and Yenner who spread it?" Yuan Zifeng and Yuan Yenner immediately shook their heads, saying, "No, it wasn't us." At this moment, Yuan Ruachu and Ji Jingtian seemed to understand something and said, "Could it be that the Divine Child is trying to fool him again? What do you think?" "I haven't gone out at all today," Yuan Zhixian said. At this moment, Yuan Ruachu and the other three felt a little sorry for Lin Yan. Not only had he been deceived emotionally by someone sent by the Divine Sun, but they themselves had also been completely manipulated by him. At the same time, they admired their Divine Sun immensely. As expected of the Divine Sun, his methods were truly masterful. The night passed peacefully. The next day at noon, Lin Yan and Zhao Zixuan were already waiting for Yuan Zhixian in the dining hall. Soon after, Yuan Zhixian and his group of 5 arrived. Upon seeing Lin Yan, they said, "It's getting late, let's set off." Lin Yan immediately nodded in response. The group then arrived at the Juyuan restaurant plaza. Since Lin Yan and Zhao Zixuan's cultivation levels were too low and Zhao Zixuan couldn't fly, Yuan Zhixian slightly raised his right hand, and a powerful spiritual energy appeared beneath Lin Yan and Zhao Zixuan's feet. The 7 of them then flew together towards that mysterious space. With the blessing of Yuan Zhixian's spiritual power, the group quickly arrived at the entrance of the mysterious space. The people of the Divine Feather Holy Land were already waiting there. Upon seeing Yuan Zhixian, they immediately tried to step forward to pay their respects, but Yuan Zhixian quickly interrupted them. He introduced Lin Yan, saying, "Young Master Lin, this is my good friend, the Holy Son of Divine Feather. And behind him are the Ancestor, the Holy Lord, and the various Supreme Elders of the Divine Feather Holy Land." Lin Yan, who had never seen so many important figures before, bowed respectfully and said, "Greetings, esteemed seniors, greetings, Holy Sun Shenyu." At this moment, the Divine Feather Ancestor finally realized what was happening and said, "Since he is young Master Yuan's friend, there's no need for such formalities." After all, he was a shrewd person who had lived for over 1,000 years, and he immediately understood what Yuan Zhixian meant. Furthermore, Ancestor Shenyu knew that the entire Tianlan realm was aware of their arrival today, so he immediately addressed the surroundings. "Since you're here, stop hiding and come out." Then, a powerful aura filled the entire forest. Hundreds of people then appeared in the air, led by 29 quasi-saint level experts. Seeing so many quasi-saint level experts, Yuan Ruachu and Ji Jingtian's expressions turned solemn. Lin Yan, Zhao Zixuan, and the Divine Feather Saint were even more overwhelmed by the aura of these 29 quasi-saints, finding it hard to breathe. Zhao Zixuan's condition was worse, her face turning deathly pale. Even in this state, Lin Yan didn't forget to channel spiritual energy into Zhao Zixuan, hoping to alleviate the pressure. Zhao Zixuan looked at Lin Yan, momentarily stunned, and remained silent. At this moment, the Divine Feather Ancestor waved his hand, and a faint barrier appeared around Lin Yan, Zhao Zixuan, and the Divine Feather Saint, blocking the aura of the 29 quasi-saints. Only then did the 3 slowly recover. Then, the Divine Feather Ancestor spoke first. "What are you all trying to do? Do you intend to start a war with my Divine Feather Holy Land?" At this moment, the Dragon Palace Master stepped forward and said, "Old Man Shenyu, you may fool others, but you can't fool me. Your life force is already depleted, and you only have a few decades left to live. We have more than 20 quasi-saint level experts here. I'm afraid you will perish after this battle. The treasure will belong to the capable, but you want to keep it all for yourselves. If you know what's good for you, hand over that young man. Maybe I can share some scraps with you. Otherwise, this day next year will be your death anniversary." "Bullshit. You old mudfish, try me if you dare." Ancestor Shenyu immediately flew into a rage. Then, his quasi-saint aura surged, and he immediately charged towards the Dragon Palace Master. The Dragon Palace Master said to the people behind him, "Leave this person to me. You go and deal with the others." As he spoke, his aura as a quasi-saint surged, and he headed towards Ancestor Shinyu. After a brief clash between their energies, the Dragon Palace Master exclaimed in surprise, "Your life force? Impossible. You clearly only have a few decades left to live, so why is your life force so vigorous?" The Divine Feather Ancestor laughed, "Short-sighted fool. How could you possibly know such things? Die." Meanwhile, the 28 sages were also heading towards Yuan Zhixian and his group. At this moment, Yuan Zhixian sighed softly and said, "Isn't living good enough? Why seek death?" Then he tapped Lin Yan's forehead and said, "Young Master Lin, you and my subordinate go in first. Leave this to me. I just left my breath on your forehead. I'll join you later." Lin Yan knew he couldn't be of any help here, so he led Zhao Zixuan, Yuan Ruochu, and the other two into the space. Before leaving, Zhao Zixuan said to Yuan Zhixian, "Please be careful, young master. Zixuan will be waiting for you inside." Yuan Zhixian nodded in response. Then, Yuan Zhixian said to the people of the Divine Feather Holy Land, "You don't need to interfere, let me handle it." The people of the Divine Feather Holy Land were also very curious about just how strong this upper realm divine child was. They immediately replied, "As the divine child commands." Seeing Yuan Zhixian emerge, the 28 quasi-saints burst into laughter. Then one of the quasi-saints said, "If you're afraid of death, you didn't have to send a mere reincarnation realm brat to his death. Do you want to fight all 28 of us? Haha, I'm so scared. What do you tell me? What should I do?" Looking at Yuan Zhixian, who had been mocking him, Yuan Zhixian's eyes turned icy cold. In an instant, he appeared before the quasi-saint who had been laughing at him. He unleashed a punch imbued with terrifying spiritual power, which struck the quasi-saint in the stomach. The quasi-saint who had been laughing at Yuan Zhixian was reduced to ashes with a smile on his face. Hiss, the remaining 27 quasi-saints also gasped. This, I can't believe what I'm seeing. A quasi-saint level expert was actually blasted away by a reincarnation realm expert with a single punch. For a moment, none of the 27 quasi-saints dared to step forward. The people from the Divine Feather Holy Land stared blankly at Yuan Zhixian, only now realizing how wise their decision to submit had been. Otherwise, their fate would have been the same as this quasi-saint level expert. The gazes of the Divine Feather Holy Land members towards Yuan Zhixian were filled with an indescribable terror. The fear of such power sent chills down their spines. Yuan Zhixian's terror was deeply etched into their hearts. Then Yuan Zhixian, with one hand behind his back, looked at the remaining 27 people and said, "Next." At this moment, the 27 quasi-saints hesitated to make a move, fearing they would be the next to be reduced to ashes. Then, the third elder of the Dragon Palace stepped forward and said, he merely took advantage of Quasi-Saint Bei Guang's momentary lapse in attention to launch a swift sneak attack. This person is not to be feared. Upon hearing this, everyone agreed that this was indeed the case, since even the strongest being in the reincarnation realm was certainly not stronger than a quasi-saint. Then, seeing another one trying to take the lead, Yuan Zhixian flashed to the front of the third elder of the Dragon Palace. The third elder, already prepared, used his spiritual power to create a black energy shield. Yuan Zhixian, seeing this, used the power of the divine elephant suppressing prison to deliver a punch. With a crack, the energy shield shattered, and the punch struck the third elder directly. He then flashed back to his original position, coldly saying, "Next." The third elder of the Dragon Palace was slightly better off than the previous Saint Realm expert. The previous Saint Realm expert died with his original expression intact, while the third elder of the Dragon Palace at least showed a trace of fear on his face and uttered a few words. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Then the three supreme lords of the Dragon Palace also perished, their bodies and souls destroyed, their spiritual essence extinguished. The remaining 26 quasi-saint level experts had no choice but to believe that Yuan Zhixian truly had the ability to kill them all. The pavilion master of the Myriad Demons Pavilion then asked, "We have never seen such a powerful person before. Who exactly are you?" Yuan Zhixian said calmly, "Who I am is none of your business. I will only say one thing. Anyone who dares to step forward will die. The Grand Elder of the Dragon Palace then said, Your Excellency is being far too domineering. I admit you are indeed very strong, and you are no match for me one-on-one. However, we currently have over 20 quasi-saint level experts here. If we all attack together, how will you cope? Oh, you also want to be the first to stick your neck out? Yuan Zhixian said calmly. The Dragon Palace Grand Elder said in alarm, Do you all intend for this person to defeat us one by one? We must unite. Do you think you're the only ones with a lot of people? As he spoke, another patriarch from the Divine Feather Holy Land appeared beside Yuan Zhixian with 6 other quasi-saint level elders. Your Divine Feather Holy Land actually has 8 quasi-saint level experts. You're incredibly cunning, hiding 6 quasi-saint level experts. The Grand Elder of the Dragon Palace also let out a sigh of relief. Originally, he had planned that after the Divine Feather ancestor passed away, the Divine Feather Holy Land would only have 1 quasi-saint level expert left, and then the Dragon Palace could take advantage of the situation to seize the Divine Feather Holy Land. Now, the Divine Feather Holy Land was so cunning, hiding 6 quasi-saint level experts. Meanwhile, the 2 patriarchs of the Celestial Clan from the Bloodslaughter Holy Land also felt that this situation had exceeded their original plans. Now, the Divine Feather Holy Land not only had 6 more quasi-saint realm experts, but they also guessed that the terrifying person from before must have been the Divine Child of the Yuan clan. They had not expected the Divine Child of the Yuan clan to be so terrifying. The 2 then said, It seems the plan needs to be brought forward. Another quasi-saint powerhouse replied, This is the only way. Let the boss possess him ahead of time. Otherwise, given the terror of the Yuan clan's divine son, the 2 of us won't be able to complete the plan. Then, both of them looked at Huaping. Meanwhile, the battle between Ancestor Xinyu and the Palace Master of the Dragon Palace was also quite fierce. The Palace Master of the Dragon Palace was a 3-clawed golden dragon of the True Dragon Clan and a core member of the True Dragon Clan. His talent and abilities were also at the level of a great sage and a supreme sage. Ancestor Xinyu was also known as one of the strongest sword cultivators in terms of attack power. For a time, the 2 were evenly matched. At this moment, Ancestor Xinyu said, Old Mudfish, after all these years, you still use the same old tricks. You haven't improved at all. The Dragon Palace Master retorted, As if you've improved. The Divine Feather Ancestor coldly chuckled, That's not necessarily true. As he spoke, the holy sword in his right hand emitted a yellow light, and a terrifying aura emanated from his body. The powerful energy surge startled the 26 quasi-saint level experts. Looking at the Divine Feather Ancestor's powerful aura, the 26 couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, What kind of technique is this? It's so powerful. This technique was a supreme method passed down to the Divine Feather Holy Land by an ancestor who descended to the mortal realm countless years ago. That ancestor possessed extraordinary talent and was an unparalleled prodigy. After ascending to the upper realm, he was taken in as a disciple by a supreme elder of an immortal holy land, who then imparted this technique to him. On one occasion, the ancestor's junior brother, who was also a close friend of the ancestor and a powerful quasi-saint, had a mission to descend to the Tianlan realm. The ancestor sought out his junior brother and requested that he pass on this cultivation technique to the Divine Feather Holy Land, so that the Divine Feather Holy Land could have a foundation for its continued transmission. Subsequently, the ancestor's junior brother followed his senior brother's instructions and passed on the cultivation technique to the Divine Feather Holy Land. This technique is a sword art with immense power, but if one tries to activate it without reaching the Saint Realm, it will greatly deplete one's lifespan. Even the Divine Feather Ancestor only dared to use this lifespan-consuming technique because he had the primordial immortal present, and he paid the price of over 100 years of his lifespan to perform it. The Divine Feather Ancestor shouted at the Dragon Palace Master, Tai Dividing Light Sword Technique. Several yellow orbs of light appeared behind him. The Divine Feather Ancestor formed hand seals, and the orbs transformed into beams of light radiating yellow light. Then, the Divine Feather Ancestor raised his swords, pointing them at the Dragon Palace Master, and the beams of light hurtled towards him. The Dragon Palace Master was greatly shocked to see the Divine Feather Ancestor unleash such a powerful sword technique. Then his body flashed with light, and after a golden light, a huge three-clawed golden dragon appeared in the void. The dragon's scales emitted a dazzling golden light, and its aura also burst forth. Then it opened its mouth, and a huge golden ball of light spewed out from the three-clawed golden dragon's mouth. Several yellow swords clashed with the enormous golden sphere of light, resulting in a fierce battle that remained evenly matched for a time. Then Ancestor Shinyu, holding his holy sword in his right hand, faced the golden sphere of light and, mobilizing his spiritual power, shouted again, "Merge." His holy sword instantly shot towards the center of the yellow swords of light. Upon reaching the yellow swords, it merged with the several yellow swords of light into a single, gigantic yellow sword. This sword then pierced straight through the golden sphere of light, heading towards the Dragon Palace Master. Whoosh! The giant yellow lightsaber pierced straight through the Dragon Palace Master's body. The Dragon Palace Master then transformed into human form and landed on the forest floor. His face was pale, a trickle of golden blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and a huge sword hole appeared in his abdomen. Golden blood continued to flow from the hole. It was clear that the Divine Feather Ancestor's sword strike had severely injured him. Upon seeing this, the other 4 elders of the Dragon Palace quickly flew forward to support the Dragon Palace Master. The Grand Elder of the Dragon Palace also took out a pill and gave it to the Dragon Palace Master. Meanwhile, the Divine Feather Ancestor's energy was severely depleted, and signs of aging appeared on his face. Seeing that he had severely injured the Dragon Palace Master with a single sword strike, he immediately retorted sarcastically, "A beast is a beast. Don't go wandering around aimlessly, you'll just get beaten up." The Dragon Palace Master, upon hearing this, blushed deeply, spat out a mouthful of blood, and immediately fainted. Then, the Divine Feather Ancestor flashed to Yuan Zhixian's side and said, "Divine Son, I have fulfilled my mission and severely injured that old mudfish." Well done. You should take good care of yourself." With that, Yuan Zhixian took out another essence transformation pill and gave it to Ancestor Shinyu. Ancestor Shinyu was immediately excited, feeling that he had made the right choice in using the Tai Dividing Light Sword technique this time, as he had suddenly gained nearly 700 years of lifespan. Then Yuan Zhixian looked at the remaining 26 quasi-saints and said, "Who else wants to enter this space? Speak up, it's all right." Everyone immediately shook their heads, not daring to utter a sound. Only the Grand Elder of the Dragon Palace, seeing that no one dared to speak, said, "Everyone, as I just said, if we attack together, we can definitely annihilate them. After all, we have 26 quasi-saints on our side. What are we afraid of?" Yuan Zhixian, increasingly annoyed by the manipulator's repeated attempts to seduce the crowd, instantly teleported and unleashed another punch. The Dragon Palace Grand Elder, already on guard, transformed into a gigantic black dragon. The Grand Elder reasoned that his physical body was stronger than his human form and should be able to withstand Yuan Zhixian's punch. However, the final result was that Yuan Zhixian's punch cleaved the Grand Elder's entire dragon body in two. He didn't even have time to revert to human form before he perished. Then, Yuan Zhixian looked at the Dragon Palace Grand Elder, who had been blasted in two by his punch, and said disdainfully, "The idea was good, but reality is cruel. Did you think you could withstand my punch by transforming into your true form? What are you thinking?" Boss. Seeing the Dragon Palace's Grand Elder killed by Yuan Zhixian with a single punch, the Dragon Palace's Second Elder, Fourth Elder, and Fifth Elder also charged towards Yuan Zhixian in anger. You killed the eldest and third brothers. We want you dead." With that, the three instantly transformed into their true forms, three enormous black dragons appearing in the void. Then, terrifying black orbs of light condensed from the mouths of the three dragons, which then spewed forward. The three terrifying black orbs of light merged into one gigantic black sphere, crackling with terrifying electric lightning, seemingly intent on destroying everything as it hurtled towards Yuan Zhixian. Yuan Zhixian closed his eyes and opened them again, revealing a pair of double pupils that shone like stars. These double pupils then emitted a purple light, and he shot a beam of light from them at the enormous black sphere. The enormous black sphere, struck by the beam of light, instantly vanished. Then, the beam of light from the double pupils transformed into 3 beams that shot straight towards the 3 black dragons. With incredible speed and terrifying power, the 3 supreme elders of the Dragon Palace, transformed into 3 enormous black dragons, didn't even have time to react before being pierced through by the terrifying power of the double pupil light. They then vanished into thin air, their expressions filled with terror. Everything happened too fast, no one could react in time. The Dragon Palace, once the strongest force in the Tianlan realm, was now reduced to a single, unconscious Dragon Palace Master. Seeing that only the unconscious Palace Master remained in the Dragon Palace, Yuan Zhixian said, "Let's do a good deed to the end. Now that you're all alone, I'm afraid you'll be very lonely. Why don't you go with them?" As he spoke, another beam of light from his double pupil shot out, and the unconscious Dragon Palace Master immediately turned into ashes and vanished into thin air. Then Yuan Zhixian addressed the remaining 23 Quasi-Saint Realm experts. "Are you still here, preparing for the same fate as that Dragon Palace? Do you want to be completely wiped out?" At this moment, the Quasi-Saint level expert from Wanwan Pavilion hurriedly said, we dare not. Please forgive us, sir. Please forgive us. We will leave immediately." Subsequently, the 23 Quasi-Saints also immediately led their troops to withdraw. Yuan Zhixian turned to the group from Xinyu Holy Land and said, "Let's go. The annoying rats have been deterred. Let's go in." Then he led the group from Xinyu Holy Land into the mysterious space. At this moment, the Blood Slaughter Holy Land was evacuating. 2 elders from the Upper Heaven clan stopped and said to the crowd, "The Holy Lord and we have important matters to attend to. You should return to the Holy Land first." The supreme elders of the Blood Slaughter Holy Land immediately bowed in response and returned to the Blood Slaughter Holy Land. After everyone left, one of the elders said to Huaping, "Now that we have helped you obtain the position of Holy Lord of the Blood Slaughter Holy Land, it is time for you to fulfill our promise." Huaping then said, "But I haven't yet killed the murderer who killed my wife and children." Another elder said, "That terrifying person was the Yuan clan's divine son. The one who killed your wife and children was his subordinate. Do you think you have the ability to take revenge? You saw how terrifying that Yuan clan divine son truly is." Huaping had just witnessed the terrifying power of Yuan Zhixian. Even a quasi-saint had been annihilated by him in a single blow. What could he, a mere 6th-level reincarnation realm cultivator, possibly do? Actually, you don't need to worry. After our boss possesses you, he will only temporarily control your body. After we get what we want in that space, our boss will leave your body. Moreover, after possessing your body, our boss will also help you kill the Yuan clan members, since they are our enemies as well. Huaping, still somewhat skeptical, asked, "Even a quasi-saint was killed by that Yuan clan's divine son with a single punch. After your boss possesses him, can he really kill that Yuan clan's divine son and the person who murdered my wife and children? Do you know why our clan chose you as the vessel for our leader? It's because of your special constitution. It allows a soul to reside within your body while retaining at least 40% of its original strength. The Nirvana rebirth pill I gave you before was a secret medicine of our clan, capable of preserving 60 to 70% of a soul's power. Let me tell you, after the leader is possessed, you will possess at least the strength of a Saint Realm expert. You should know that the Saint Realm and Quasi-Saint Realm are worlds apart. Below the Saint Realm, all are ants. You should have heard that. With such strength, killing the Yuan clan's divine sons is more than enough." Upon hearing their words, Huaping, thinking that he would stop at nothing to avenge his wife and children, replied without hesitation, "All right, I agree, but you must help me get revenge." The two replied, "Don't worry, our clan are people who keep their promises. We will definitely do what we promised you." Then he added, "All right, Now you just need to practice the exercises we taught you once. Huaping immediately sat cross-legged and began practicing the technique the two had taught him. A red light began to shimmer around him. Seeing this, the two took out a white bead, which emitted bursts of white light and then entered Huaping's body. At this moment, the light around Huaping slowly changed from red to white. A short while later, Huaping opened his eyes, and a powerful and terrifying aura erupted from him. Upon seeing this, the two men quickly bowed and said, "Boss." Huaping's voice was no longer the same as before. It now carried a sense of vicissitude. He then asked the two men, "How is everything now? Are the third and fourth brothers here?" The two men immediately replied, "The third and fourth brothers will arrive soon. Everything is proceeding as planned, however." He paused here. "But what?" the leader asked. "However, a slight change has occurred. The Yuan clan's divine son has descended to the mortal realm and has already entered the inner world with Lin Yan, the divine child of the Yuan clan. I never expected that after countless years, my celestial clan would encounter another member of the Yuan clan, and that he would be the divine child of the Yuan clan again. It seems we can achieve great merit this time," the leader said happily. "But this Yuan clan divine child is incredibly powerful. His reincarnation realm cultivation is enough to kill a quasi-saint realm expert with a single blow, and he also possesses double pupils." "Oh, so you're a double-pupiled individual. The top 10 among the 3,000 physiques can already defeat enemies beyond their realm, so it's not surprising. But so, what if you're an undefeated legend with double pupils? Before my saint realm strength, everything is utterly insignificant," the leader said confidently. Then the eldest brother said, "Let's go. The third and fourth brothers just messaged me that they've arrived at the entrance to that space. I only have 1 hour to suppress my saint realm cultivation. If I haven't entered that inner world by then, and the heavenly Tao discovers it, things will be very bad." With that, he led the two towards the entrance to the mysterious space. At this moment, Yuan Zhixian, along with the people of the Divine Feather Holy Land, quickly located Lin Yan and Yuan Ruochu based on their spiritual energy aura. They were waiting for Yuan Zhixian in the Thunder Swamp area, where he had entered earlier. Upon seeing Yuan Zhixian arrive, Lin Yan asked, "Young Master Yuan, what's the situation outside?" Yuan Zhixian smiled and said, "Young Master Lin, after this, no one should bother you anymore. Those quasi-saint level experts have all returned and won't cause us any more trouble." Lin Yan said excitedly, "That's good, that's good. I must thank young Master Yuan for everything he has done for me." Yuan Zhixian replied, "Didn't young Master Lin also lead us into this space?" The two then exchanged a glance and smiled slightly. Lin Yan then added, "I've heard that many powerful individuals perished here after entering. To be honest, I don't know why nothing happened to me after entering this space." Yuan Zhixian explained, "There are two types of people in this world who not only advance their cultivation rapidly, but also obtain many treasures safely in mysterious places or secret realms. We call these two types Children of Destiny and Children of Opportunity. Young Master Lin belongs to the latter category. Such people are born with many opportunities. Although not as numerous as the Children of Destiny, they only appear once every few million years." Lin Yan then realized that he was a chosen one, and understood why he was able to enter and leave this mysterious place. Then Lin Yan continued to Yuan Zhixian, "Young Master Yuan, follow me. Last time, after arriving in this Thunder Swamp, I entered the next place based on my intuition." Then Lin Yan led Yuan Zhixian and his group through the Thunder Swamp, winding their way through the area, and arrived at a desert. This desert is quite strange. The sun shines brightly from all 4 directions, creating an intensely hot and oppressive atmosphere. Many large trees stand tall amidst the desert. Lin Yan then addressed the group, saying, "When I first came here, I saw the sun blazing overhead and assumed the desert would be incredibly hot, so I picked some giant leaves from the trees to shield myself. But when I walked into the desert with the leaves in my hand, I didn't feel any discomfort or heat at all." Upon hearing this, Yuan Zhixian extended his right hand, and a giant leaf fell in front of him. Looking at the giant leaf, Yuan Zhixian felt nothing unusual. Even Lin Yan, the chosen one, said that using this giant leaf caused no discomfort, so Yuan Zhixian immediately floated the giant leaf above his head. Seeing Yuan Zhixian's reaction, everyone else also used their spiritual power to pluck a giant leaf and floated above their heads as well. Subsequently, Yuan Zhixian and the others felt that their bodies no longer felt uncomfortable and immediately continued to follow Lin Yan forward. After crossing the desert, a vast expanse of white snow and ice suddenly appeared before us. A fierce wind accompanied by gusts of snow brought a chill that made us shiver. Upon seeing this, Ancestor Shinyu exclaimed in shock, "This is Frost Spirit Ice and Snow." Besides Yuan Zhixian, the others also said in bewilderment, "The Frost Spirit Ice and Snow is a type of ice and snow comparable to the ultimate true ice. Once frozen, even a Saint Realm expert cannot escape. It is truly terrifying." Young brother Lin Yan, how did you get through this frosty spirit ice and snow? Lin Yan replied, "When I first arrived here, it was so cold that I tried to warm myself by transforming my spiritual energy into true fire. However, the fire froze instantly. Because of the extreme cold, I had no choice but to return to the desert. I hoped the cold and heat would cancel each other out, but that didn't work either. Even in the desert, I still felt the chill. So I retreated back to the peach grove, and then I saw a peach tree shimmering with light. I simply broke the peach tree apart and tried to light the peach branch in the icy snow. It actually worked. The flame from the lit peach branch was not afraid of the cold air, and even I, holding the peach branch, did not feel any cold air." Upon hearing this, Yuan Zhixian sensed something was amiss and pondered. Peach grove, thunder marsh, desert, snowfield. Wood, metal, fire, water. These are the 5 elements lands. Upon hearing this, everyone asked what the 5 elements were. Yuan Zhixian explained, "Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth are the 5 elements. The 5 elements generate yin and yang transform into immortal energy. If I'm not mistaken, this icy land is a land of the earth element." Lin Yan then said, "Young Master Yuan, your knowledge is truly extensive. Indeed, after this icy land lies the land of earth." He then took out a split peach branch from his spatial ring and handed it to everyone. The group lit the peach branch and successfully crossed the icy land. After passing through the icy and snowy landscape, a vast expanse of arid land came into view. At this point, Lin Yan said, "This land has a gravity barrier. When I walked through this land, I felt I could still hold on, but I don't know about your situation." At this moment, a supreme elder of the 6th level of the reincarnation realm from the Divine Feather Holy Land said, "I'll go try first." He flew over, but after only a few meters, he was forcefully pressed to the ground by the gravity barrier. He then got up and walked forward on foot. However, the further he went, the slower his pace became. Finally, after about 50 meters, he was completely motionless, then was blasted back by an invisible force. That force was extremely powerful. In an instant, it caused a 6th-level reincarnation realm expert to vomit blood, and he was unconscious when he was blasted back. Just then, 5 terrifying auras emanated from behind Yuan Zhixian and his companions. Yuan Zhixian turned around and saw 5 figures appear before them. The leader immediately said, "Haha, Yuan Clan Divine Child, it's a pleasure to meet you." Yuan Zhixian and his group were also surprised. How could someone else have entered this place besides their own? Had they not encountered any terrain attacks from the 5 elements land outside? Furthermore, Yuan Zhixian was also puzzled that someone from the lower realm would recognize him, so he asked, "You know me?" "No, I don't know you, but your Yuan clan and my clan have some history," the leader said. "Oh, I'd like to hear the details," Yuan Zhixian said calmly. "Your clan and my clan once fought for control of Taiyuan Heaven, and my clan lost. But this has always been an indelible part of our past," the leader said with a smile. Upon hearing this, Yuan Ruochu and the other 3 were utterly shocked. A struggle for control of Taiyuan Heaven? What astonishing news! "Your clan?" Yuan Zhixian asked, also puzzled. "I am an elder of the Celestial Clan, and also the Grand Elder who is carrying out this mission in the Heavenly Realm." Behind me are the 4 elders who are also on this mission, the Grand Elder said proudly. Yuan Zhixian was also surprised to hear this. He had previously inquired about the 9 ancestors of the Celestial Clan, but he did not expect to encounter members of this clan so soon. Then the elder added, "Therefore, I am truly honored to have met you, the divine son of the Yuan clan today." "What honor?" Yuan Zhixian asked calmly after recovering from his initial surprise. "Because I can personally annihilate the Yuan clan's divine son. Such a tremendous achievement falling into my hands. Tell me, am I not honored?" The leader said confidently. Yuan Zhixian was also taken aback. He was always the one who annihilated others, so it was quite novel for someone to claim they wanted to kill him. He then extended a finger and said, "Come here." Before the leader could speak, the 4 elders behind him had already begun to act. Yuan Zhixian also glanced back slightly. Yuan Ruochu and the others, along with the people from the Divine Feather Holy Land, instantly understood what was going on. Except for the 2 Divine Feather ancestors who stayed behind to protect Lin Yan and Zhao Zixuan, the rest of them all surrounded and attacked the 4 quasi-saints. The Grand Elder stood with his hands behind his back, not making a move, but quietly watching the battle between Yuan Zhixian and the others in the distance. After all, the difference in numbers was still too great. With 7 quasi-saints and more than 20 reincarnation realm experts from the Divine Feather Holy Land, plus Yuan Ruochu and her 4 companions, the 4 elders of the Celestial Clan were quickly injured and defeated. The 4 defeated elders immediately returned to the first elder's side and said, "Boss, we've done our best. Now we can only rely on you." The Grand Elder remained silent, his hands still behind his back, his aura emanating from him, as he walked forward step by step. With each step, the people of the Divine Feather Holy Land felt as if their bodies were being crushed by thousands of enormous mountains. They struggled to breathe, and their legs were already trembling slightly. Then the Grand Elder took another step. Bang! One of the supreme experts of the Divine Feather Holy Land couldn't withstand the pressure and was forced to his knees. Then 2, 3, 4. In a short while, almost all the supreme elders of the Divine Feather Holy Land were forced to their knees, their hands supporting them on the ground in a desperate struggle. Yuan Ruochu and her 3 companions, along with Lin Yan and Zhao Zixuan, were behind Yuan Zhixian, and most of their auras were blocked by him, so they didn't feel as much pressure. At this moment, Ancestor Xinyu and the other 7 quasi-saints were also struggling to hold on using their quasi-saint power. Upon seeing this, the Grand Elder's aura intensified again. Then, except for Ancestor Xinyu, the other 7 quasi-saints all knelt on one knee. The Grand Elder looked at the Divine Feather Ancestor with a hint of surprise in his eyes. Then his aura increased slightly. At this moment, the Divine Feather Ancestor could no longer hold on and knelt on one knee. The 7 quasi-saint realm experts beside him, along with the 20-odd Supreme Elders, had already knelt on both knees, their hands struggling to support themselves on the ground. How's that possible? You're a saint realm expert? How could there possibly be a saint realm expert in this world? Aren't you afraid of divine punishment? At this moment, Ancestor Xinyu's face was flushed, and his body and face were covered in sweat. He struggled to speak. Nothing is impossible. You'll die knowing why. This place is an inner world created by the 5 elements land, outside the jurisdiction of the heavenly Tao. If a saint realm expert or above is detected by the heavenly Tao outside, they will either immediately ascend to the upper realm or be directly annihilated by heavenly punishment. However, within the 5 elements land, even saint realm experts are outside the jurisdiction of the heavenly Tao, the Grand Elder explained. Then the Elder looked at Yuan Zhixian and said, "The small fry have been cleared out. Now it's your turn, Yuan Clan Divine Son." After speaking, the aura of a saint realm expert emanated from him and wafted towards Yuan Zhixian. At that moment, Yuan Zhixian immediately opened his double pupils, and then the power of his double pupils filled his entire body. His aura also burst forth and collided with the aura of the Grand Elder. With a loud bang, their auras dissipated, neither able to gain the upper hand. They remained motionless. The Grand Elder, looking at Yuan Zhexian's double pupils, said, as expected of the undefeated mythical double-pupiled one. Such strength at the mere reincarnation realm. But that's all. 7 swords descend to the mortal world. The Elder channeled his spiritual power, and 7 divine swords radiating white light descended from the sky, their imposing aura and terrifying presence terrifying. This is one of the ultimate techniques of the Celestial Clan, a technique created by a great emperor of the Celestial Clan. Although its power is not as great as the 4 swords of Zhuxian or the sword Sex 1 sword to break the heavens, it is definitely not much weaker than the 4 swords of Zhuxian or the 1 sword to break the heavens. Yuan Zhexian, utterly calm, declared swordsmanship. Who can rival the Yuan clan's 4 swords of immortal slaying? He then drew the ancient sword given to him by Yuan Chongqing once more and shouted at the Grand Elder, the 4 swords of immortal slaying, the immortal slaying sword. At this moment, a huge golden circular magic array appeared beneath Yuan Zhexian's feet, followed by a massive golden immortal execution sword slowly rising from his feet. A terrifying sword intent emanated from the golden sword as it rose. Then, the golden immortal execution sword hurtled towards the 7 divine swords in the sky. The immortal execution sword flashed with golden light, emitting terrifying sword intent as it pierced straight towards the 7 divine swords, clashing. Fiercely. As time passed, the Grand Elder's swordsmanship actually began to falter. The crowd, already paralyzed and collapsed by the Grand Elder, along with the 4 injured elders from the ranked clans, were also shocked. Yuan Zhexian had actually managed to steadily suppress the Grand Elder. That was a Saint Realm cultivator, not a quasi-saint. Could it be that Yuan Zhexian could shatter the legends of countless eras, capable of slaughtering saints without even becoming a saint himself? The Elder's aura intensified once more, and his spiritual power erupted. He uttered a soft cry, "Fallen mortal, sword of the human world." The 7 divine swords merged together, transforming into a giant white sword. The giant sword emitted bursts of white light, and a terrifying aura emanated from it, as if it could pierce through the heavens and earth. The white giant sword, formed from the 7 swords, flew rapidly toward the golden immortal execution sword. The 2 divine swords met in midair, their tips touching. The sword tips emitted a terrifying aura, and the resulting airflow spread outwards, creating a gravity barrier tens of kilometers away. The 2 swords clashed, their strength evenly matched. Seeing this, Yuan Zhexian uttered a single word, "Slay." The golden Zhuxian sword transformed into countless smaller golden Zhuxian swords. Some of these swords relentlessly pierced through the white giant sword, while others went directly towards the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder remained calm and waved his hand, creating a white energy shield around himself. Countless small golden immortal execution swords continuously struck the white energy shield, producing a clanging and scraping sound. The countless small golden immortal slaying swords and white giant swords that resisted the attack immediately turned into countless points of spiritual energy and dissipated in the air. Seeing that the 4 swords of Zhuxian's sword, and the Grand Elder's 7 swords falling to the mortal world were evenly matched, Yuan Zhexian's star-like double pupils flashed with purple light, and a powerful beam of light shot straight towards the Grand Elder. This is the power of double pupils. It is indeed very strong. Unfortunately, no matter how strong double pupils are, you in the reincarnation realm are no match for a Saint Realm expert, the Elder said sarcastically. Then the Grand Elder formed a hand seal, and a huge white circular magic circle appeared behind him. He then softly uttered, "Heavenly secret technique, devouring heaven technique." At this moment, the enormous white circular magic circle emitted a dazzling white light, enveloping the entire space. Then, the Grand Elder directly concealed himself within the white circular magic circle. Afterward, the circular magic circle began to rotate, slowly transforming into a white hole. After the white hole formed, it resembled a giant maw, constantly devouring all surrounding matter. Even the light from Yuan Zhexian's double pupils was directly swallowed by this white hole. Seeing this, Yuan Zhexian remained calm. He then thought to himself, the commander. The Supreme System responded instantly at this moment. Yes, host. Isn't there a sign-in reward? Yes, host. Okay. Sign in right now. Let me see how amazing this sign-in is. Okay, host. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have completed the daily check-in task. Reward: Susanoo Set Aura. After understanding the technique, Yuan Zhexian smiled happily, her lips curving upwards. Susanoo's aura is a passive spell, divided into 5 levels. Each level passively increases attack damage by 20%, and it requires sufficient quest points to level up. Yuan Zhexian examined it and found it to be a good item. It was similar to the All Secret, one of the 9 secrets, except that the All Secret could only increase the combat power of spells and attacks, not the combat power of phenomena. However, this Susanoo set of phenomena perfectly made up for this deficiency. As the Grand Elder's devouring heaven technique slowly approached, a terrifying devouring power immediately washed over him. Yuan Zhexian's star-like double pupils instantly blazed with purple light, and then, looking at the approaching devouring heaven technique, he said, "Double pupils open heaven and earth." The arid, earthy land vanished, replaced by a mysterious space filled with gray energy. The heaven-devouring technique, cast by the Grand Elder, was relentlessly devouring everything within this gray energy-filled space. The Grand Elder then surveyed the mysterious space, saying, "Our clan's ancient texts record that the extraordinary phenomenon of those with double pupils is the ability to open the heavens and earth with their double pupils. Seeing it now, it truly lives up to its reputation. If you were a saint-level cultivator, I might not have been able to leave today. Go, but you're still a bit too weak right now." Then the Elder directly enhanced his spiritual power and said to the devouring heaven technique, "Devour." The rotating devouring heaven technique slowly grew larger again. The speed of rotation also began to increase, and the area it devoured became larger and larger. Seeing this, Yuan Zhexian remained silent and began forming hand seals. The gray energy within double pupils open heaven and earth, empowered by the power of Susanoo, slowly turned grayish-purple, then gradually flowed towards the devouring heaven technique. As the hand seals were completed, Yuan Zhexian softly uttered, "Refine." The terrifying refining energy and the terrifying devouring power collided, unleashing their full power. As these two terrifying forces erupted, Yuan Zhexian was nearly pulled into the white hole by the devouring power. If it weren't for the 20% increase in combat power, plus the power of his double pupils open heaven and earth small world, he might have already been swallowed up by the devouring power. Meanwhile, the Grand Elder was also in dire straits. His heavenly secret technique had not only failed to devour Yuan Zhexian, but Yuan's refining energy had actually managed to refine away both of his arms. Although saint-level experts could regenerate limbs using their saintly power, it still consumed a tremendous amount of spiritual energy. He never imagined that Yuan Zhexian, with his reincarnation realm cultivation, could fight him to such an extent. As expected of the divine child of the Yuan clan, you're indeed very strong. But that's more like it. If you're too weak, crushing others would be meaningless, the Grand Elder then said. Yuan Zhexian frowned slightly. You really talk too much nonsense. You've said it several times already. What's wrong? Were you mute in your past life? Are you going to say everything you haven't finished saying in this life? You brat, stop arguing. Die. Then the Elder unleashed his full saint realm cultivation, and white saint power spread out as well. Yeah. With a loud roar from the Grand Elder, cracks appeared in Yuan Zhexian's double pupils open heaven and earth small world. Then, The Grand Elder's saintly power increased again, and after striking the small world, a crack was heard, and the entire small world shattered like glass. Yuan Zhixian now knew that his double pupils' open heaven and earth technique couldn't imprison a saint-level expert. The myth of slaughtering saints if one couldn't become a saint was something no one had ever accomplished throughout history. Even the mighty ancestor of humanity couldn't achieve it. It was like an unchanging law that no one had broken. But Yuan Zhixian was the kind of person who would do it even if things seemed impossible. Others couldn't do it. That was their problem. He, Yuan Zhixian, was determined to succeed. After all, he was a unique individual, destined to sweep away all enemies in the world. At this moment, golden divine radiance emanated from Yuan Zhixian's body, slowly forming a mysterious hexagonal golden supreme halo behind him. The golden hexagonal supreme halo emitted a sacred and mysterious golden light, and a terrifying aura also spread out. Upon seeing this, the Grand Elder exclaimed in surprise, "What? A supreme bone? You actually cultivated a supreme bone. No wonder you're so powerful. It seems we have no choice but to eliminate you." Yuan Zhixian remained silent, then addressed the Grand Elder, "Heavenly Calamity Light." Suddenly, 3 enormous golden hexagonal supreme rings appeared in the sky, stacked one on top of the other, each larger than the last. They emitted golden light, and a terrifying aura enveloped the entire space. Then, a massive golden beam of light shot out from the 3 golden rings and hurtled towards the Grand Elder. Seeing this, the Grand Elder scoffed, "To actually use the heavenly calamity light against someone from my heavenly clan, you are truly foolish." The Grand Elder stretched out his hands and roared at the heavenly calamity light, hurtling towards him. Heavenly secret technique. Heavenly evolution technique. At this moment, a huge white circular magic circle appeared behind the Grand Elder, emitting a white saintly radiance. Simultaneously, terrifying saintly power erupted from the white circular magic circle, and a terrifying white light shot out from its center, heading towards Yuan Zhixian's heavenly calamity light. 2 terrifying forces collided head-on, and the resulting terrifying energy immediately spread outwards. The Divine Feather Ancestor and the 7 quasi-saint-level experts watching the battle below immediately stepped forward and joined forces to create a golden energy shield, protecting the others behind them and desperately resisting the terrifying energy emanating from the 2 forces. The 4 elders of the Celestial Clan also worked together to create a white energy shield to block this terrifying power. 2 terrifying forces produced a tremendous roar in the void. At this moment, the golden divine radiance of the 6-sided supreme halo behind Yuan Zhixian shone brightly once more, and then he shouted to the Grand Elder, "Judgment of Heaven." The 3 superimposed, enormous golden hexagonal supreme rings suddenly erupted with a terrifying aura, followed by 6 golden beams of energy shooting straight towards the Grand Elder. Upon witnessing the terrifying power of this technique, the Grand Elder immediately channeled all his saintly power, transforming it into a colossal human form radiating white light. This colossal human form was the celestial true body of the Celestial Clan, one of the 3 races of the Heavenly Tao. Formed from the vital energy and blood power within the Heavenly Tao's essence, energy, and spirit, their physical bodies were incomparably powerful, and the physical strength of the celestial true body form was even more formidable. The Grand Elder's true form unleashed a burst of white light from his right hand, then punched towards the 6 terrifying golden beams of energy. Boom! The Grand Elder's celestial true form's punch actually blocked 4 golden beams of energy. Of the other 2, one pierced through the celestial true form's other palm, and the other pierced through its abdomen. The Grand Elder, far from being angry, laughed loudly and said, "It's been such a long, long time since I've been injured." Haha, that's exhilarating indeed. Yuan Clan Divine Child, come again. A masochist? Yuan Zhixian asked, puzzled. Although the Grand Elder was injured by Yuan Zhixian's judgment of heaven, he was still very excited. Seeing this, Yuan Zhixian once again used the supreme secret technique, Judgment of Heaven, on the Grand Elder. Seeing this, the elder said, to judge me in the name of my clan? How could you possibly do that? As he spoke, the Grand Elder's celestial true form shone with a surge of white light, all the power of a saint gathering in his right hand. He then unleashed another punch, sending 6 terrifying white beams of light emanating from his fist and hurtling towards the 6 terrifying golden beams of light. 5 loud bang 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 sounds followed. 5 terrifying white lights and 5 terrifying golden lights collided, producing a huge sound, and then emitted a dazzling light. Bang! Another sound rang out. This time, the white light was no match for the golden light, which then shot straight towards the head of the celestial true body. After a deafening roar, the head of the celestial true body, formed from the power of a saint, was pierced through. Subsequently, the Grand Elder's celestial true body also vanished into nothingness. The Grand Elder, his face pale, stared at Yuan Zhixian. He could no longer laugh. His eyes were bloodshot as he roared at Yuan Zhixian, "You actually broke through my clan's celestial true body. How is that possible? My celestial clan is supreme. How could my celestial true body be judged by a mere reincarnation realm cultivator like you? Using a chicken feather as an imperial edict, do they really think the 3 races of the heavenly Tao are the heavenly Tao itself? Supreme and supreme? Saints? Today I will break the eternal laws and slaughter a saint to see what happens," Yuan Zhixian said sarcastically. At this moment, the Grand Elder was trembling with rage. He then produced a red pill in his hand, the Nirvana Rebirth Pill, a secret medicine of the Celestial Clan, and swallowed it in one gulp. Immediately, the Grand Elder's aura became even more terrifying, and his cultivation level slowly rose from the first stage of the Saint Realm to the second, third, and fourth stages, until it reached the 9th stage of the Saint Realm before stopping. Then the Grand Elder looked at Yuan Zhixian coldly and said, "I never expected you could push me to this extent. You truly deserve to be called a heaven-defying prodigy. But this ends here." Yuan Zhixian's expression was also very solemn. Looking at the Grand Elder, he asked in bewilderment, "9th level of the Saint Realm? The heavenly Tao of the Tianlan realm absolutely forbids the existence of a powerhouse exceeding the Saint Realm by even 1 level. How did you manage to do that?" The Grand Elder immediately explained to Yuan Zhixian, "Your strength is something I acknowledge. To ensure you die knowing why, I'm fulfilling your dying wish. I was originally an elder of the Celestial Clan, a great Saint Realm expert. For my clan's mission in the heavenly realm, to obtain the treasures of this inner world, I willingly destroyed my physical body and then used a secret technique to seal my soul within a soul pearl. Later, for elders from my clan in the lower realms discovered a person with a special constitution capable of harboring a soul. They coerced and bribed him, offering him numerous benefits to boost his cultivation. He thus agreed to cultivate a secret technique that allowed me to preserve some of my strength and to take a secret elixir, the person you see before you today." At this moment, Yuan Zhixian also realized and said, "No wonder, your appearance seemed so familiar. It turns out you're that person." The Grand Elder then said, "All right, Yuan Clan Divine Child, I have answered your questions. Now, please set off on your journey." Yuan Zhixian replied with a cold laugh, "It's you who should be on your way." After Yuan Zhixian finished speaking, his whole body radiated chaotic energy, and the chaotic light emanating from his body was exceptionally dazzling. "What? You actually possess a chaos body? What kind of monster are you, possessing 3 heaven-defying physiques all by yourself? No, we absolutely cannot let you leave here alive. You are too dangerous. Your terrifying power will definitely affect our clan's future plans. You must die," the elder said frantically. The power of a 9th level saint erupted, and a terrifying aura rushed straight towards Yuan Zhixian. Then, in a flash, he appeared in front of Yuan Zhixian and threw a punch. At this moment, Yuan Zhixian also used the power of the chaos body plus the power of the divine elephant suppressing prison to collide with the great elder's fist. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, the two exchanged hundreds of blows, their figures flashing across the void. Their speed was incredibly fast, leaving the spectators below speechless with shock. They were astonished that this realm actually possessed a top-tier expert at the 9th level of the Saint Realm, and astonished that Yuan Zhixian could actually contend with such a powerful figure. Everyone watched their earth-shattering battle with unwavering focus. After a long battle, Yuan Zhixian gradually found himself at a disadvantage. Then came a loud bang. The Grand Elder, relying on the power of a 9th-level saint, exchanged a punch with Yuan Zhixian, and then slammed Yuan Zhixian to the ground with another punch. Yuan Zhixian's feet sank into the ground, and the ground was smashed into a large crater by the terrifying force. Then, Yuan Zhixian gathered the power of his double pupils, the power of his supreme bones, the power of chaos, and the power of his divine elephant suppressing the prison, combining the 4 powers into one. He then unleashed another punch at the Grand Elder, unleashing a beam of energy. This energy beam, fused with 4 terrifying powers, directly caused cracks to appear in the powerful space of the inner world. Then, with a crack, space was torn apart by the terrifying energy beam. The Grand Elder's expression turned serious upon witnessing such a terrifying attack. He then unleashed his spiritual power, conjuring 9 fiery shackles radiating white flames, and roared at Yuan Zhixian, 9 fiends burning heaven-forbidden technique. 9 white flame shackles intertwined and headed towards Yuan Zhixian's terrifying energy light. 2 terrifying forces collided, resulting in a deafening explosion. Yuan Zhixian was blasted back dozens of meters by the force, a trickle of blood flowing from the corner of his mouth. The Grand Elder was also blasted back more than 20 meters by the same terrifying force, his face pale. At this moment, the Grand Elder seized the opportunity and flashed to the side of the spectators below. He reached out and pulled a force of suction towards Lin Yan. Zhao Zixuan, who was standing to the side, also pushed Lin Yan away for some reason. The suction force went directly to her, and then the Grand Elder moved his 5 fingers, pulling Zhao Zixuan directly in front of him. Zhao Zixuan herself didn't know why she pushed Lin Yan. Maybe she felt that Lin Yan was still useful to Yuan Zhixian at the moment, or maybe she thought that Yuan Zhixian would definitely save her if she was captured, or maybe. In short, it was hard to explain. The Grand Elder, holding Zhao Zixuan in his arms, then smiled at Yuan Zhixian and said, "This person is your sweetheart, isn't she? I've noticed you've been protecting her all along." "No, we are just ordinary friends," Yuan Zhixian said calmly. "Oh? Is that so? Then I'll kill her," the elder continued. "It doesn't matter, kill them," Yuan Zhixian said calmly. He had thought Zhao Zixuan was Yuan Zhixian's beloved, and that capturing her would force him to submit. He hadn't expected to capture such a useless person. Enraged, he unleashed his full power. Zhao Zixuan, with her blood transformation realm cultivation, couldn't withstand the shock of a saint's aura. Her internal organs were instantly shattered. Before dying, she looked at Yuan Zhixian and said, "Young master, you." Before she could finish speaking, she vanished.